It's time for Sportstime on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. The first hour of Sportstime is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here are your hosts, former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn and Brett Stats Norsworthy.
We are off and rolling on a Thursday. Welcome to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Gabe and Stats. It's the November 10th, 2022 edition of the program. We're always live from the Family Leisure Studios in beautiful Memphis, Tennessee. I am former Memphis Tiger Gabe Kuhn, on Twitter at G_Kuhn71. Producing the program is Bryant Dacus, on Twitter at Bryant_Dacus. Bryant, big one for the Tigers tonight. How about it?
It's game day. Let's go Tigers. Hashtag beat Tulsa.
There you go. I got you. And my partner does pre and post for the Ole Miss Football Radio Network in Oxford now. He is Brett Stats Norsworthy, on Twitter at Brett Norsworthy. Brett, how are you?
I'm well. I'm for all those things, Brian. I'm with you. Tonight is a really big game. I mean, it kicks off in 3.5 hours.
It's massive. Bruce Marshall going to be in attendance tonight. Been texting back and forth. Bruce, hopefully I get to see him.
Bruce having the Sportsorama in town tonight. Tigers in Tulsa. Tomorrow night, Grizzlies, T-Wolves. And Saturday, Crimson Tide and Rebels.
That's 3 good games right there. That's 3 good games to catch, no question. I mean, tomorrow night's game, Grizzlies versus Timberwolves, is going to be massive. Grand scheme of things.
Our friends, the Timberwolves.
Yeah,
they don't look like they did the last time we saw them here.
Yeah, they don't.
They can't even remember to check in the game.
I was going to say, did you see the play last night? D'Angelo Russell staying on the sideline?
You know what they really miss, don't you?
Huh?
Patrick Beverly.
Oh yeah, of course they do. Patrick Beverly doesn't do much for the Lakers, though. I
forget he's there.
Watching the Battle of L.A. last night.
What did he have 10 last night?
Unless he.
But that's not his forte.
Yeah,
points.
And also I think unless he is the senior veteran leader on a team, if he's not providing that, what? I mean, a little bit of defense, he's a pest. But what really is he providing?
May I translate that, Gabe?
Yeah.
You put it in the most diplomatic, kind terms.
Go ahead, let's hear it.
You're a kind person. He's better when he's on Team Knucklehead and he doesn't stand out as much.
Yes, 100%. I think that's a fair way of putting it.
I mean,
I tried
you
to be
believe Patrick Beverly's not the craziest guy on this team?
I tried to be PC, Brett.
Yeah.
You took it away.
I cut right through it.
I hear you. But you sent me a video of you in the Grove, calm before the storm. How about that? Looks like
it is very calm.
It's way too calm. Seriously though, how is it so clean?
It's amazing.
I don't how many people do they hire on the cleaning crew?
And then Sunday morning early, I'm telling you, by 7:30 on Sunday morning, you would not believe it had ever happened. Now there's still some of the hotty toddy potties and some of the stuff's up, but there's not a speck of trash by sunup Sunday morning, and it really begins when you get here early on Friday. You see the build, but when you get here on Thursday, you really see the full construction of it turning into sleepy little college town to the eyes of the college football world being on it Saturday.
It's going to be unbelievable Saturday. 11 versus 9. How about that? In Vaught Hemingway. Now, I've looked at this slate, this college football slate. I don't think people are making enough of it. I enjoy the matchups we're going to see. Obviously, Bama, Ole Miss.
Georgia. I've gone through my scenarios.
Of course, you always go through scenarios.
For this weekend. There's a lot of them out there. I think Washington, Oregon's great this weekend.
Yeah, TCU going to Texas. How often is it that you have the number 4 team in the country 7-point dogs on the road? 7-point dogs on the road in Austin. That's where game day will be.
You know who's loving that? Sonny Dykes.
Yeah, you can dig with it. Well, they've sort of played that underdog sort of unimpressive role, right, where they feel disrespected. And it's worked for them.
I love this college football weekend. I love the first game of the day on the SEC Network Saturday morning. LSU at Fayetteville, and it's
fantastic.
It could be the coldest at kickoff LSU's ever played football.
I want to see, too, after the week that Georgia had last week, just full domination of the number 1 team in the country, how do they come out in Starkville against Mississippi State? That's a capable Mississippi State
dogs
team.
Versus dogs.
Yeah, dogs versus dogs. But 6-3 Mississippi State, I mean, Georgia's going to have to deal with the Cowboys. I don't think that they're in a whole lot of trouble. But this game, I think, when you look a little – I mean, last time they played was, 2020? It was a close game. Different team, Georgia had.
And that's one of the storylines. Charter members of the SEC, founding members,
right.
They don't play each other a lot.
Yeah. But
Never have.
Last time this game was played, it was a 7-point difference. I mean, it was not Georgia did not run away with it.
I've never seen this game in Starkville, but I did cover this game one time in Athens, a good Jackie Sherrill team that got blasted by Georgia, like 47-0 in 97 or so. And I mean, it was over. Well, 47-0. It was over in a blink of an eye. That wasn't great Georgia teams then.
You mentioned UW Oregon. This is Oregon's last massive chance, I'd say. No. I mean, this is one of their biggest chances to slip up before the Pac-12 championship.
They have a couple that they could.
I mean, but this is. I mean, Penix has been throwing the ball all over the yard. It's gonna be offense versus offense. Should be pretty high scoring. I mean, that's a massive Pac-12 matchup. Kansas State at Baylor should be interesting, and then we have the AAC. Probably biggest matchup of the year in the AAC outside of maybe UCF versus Cincy, but UCF at Tulane this weekend.
I thought that's where game day should have gone. I really did, especially after the Alabama upset or loss, rather. It was upset. It lost at LSU. That's the one, and I'm texting with people on Saturday night. If Bama loses, you think we're out for game day? And I said, yes, for game day. Definitely we'll still get SEC Nation, and that's what has happened. And I thought it would be Tulane, because Tulane's one of those they've never been to, and they've been on a concerted effort, and I have no problem with it. They've been on a real effort to check those off, and if you're ever going to go to that beautiful campus,
was the year.
This was the time.
Yeah, because they're just not. I mean, 7-1, putting themselves in this position, and Willie Fritz never been this highly ranked. They finally break the college football playoff ranking. They are very good. I'm still though they have a backloaded schedule. They played sort of and I know that they played they played Kansas State, and they had to deal with them. But when you look down the stretch of their season. This UCF game is going to lose large, 8-1, by the way, I should say. UCF, SMU at Cincinnati to end the year. I can't imagine.
Tough.
I can't imagine them running the rest of the table. I just can't.
I can't either. But if they do, they will easily propel into
Cotton Bowl
to the Goodyear Cotton Bowl and would take, I think, a good number of fans.
And to think that team was 2-10 last year. That's the other. That's
I
the
saw
other part
them here
of the
last
story.
year. Oh, it was rock bottom.
Yeah. I mean, we saw them. They got smacked around, and I think that Ole Miss game last year really turned their season on its head.
That week did. Remember, that was the week they were displaced by the hurricane. Had been for a couple of weeks, and then had the long delays here for that game. And I think it was just a total. This year's not working out.
Mm-hmm. Now, first out of our show, brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. On the show today, Grizzlies do beat the Spurs in OT. It was close.
Win of the year.
I wouldn't say that. I would not say that. We'll talk about sort of what went wrong in just a second. It was a little too close for comfort. It was a wild game, though, there at the end. You have Pete and Brevin asking for a review, and they were correct. We'll talk about that. But 124-122 in OT when the refs didn't want to start the clock there at the end of the game. Just
how does that happen with that many minders courtside now? I mean, we're not talking about the old, just one guy over there keeping the clock, one keeping the statistician book. We've got, countless people now on that game ops crew, on that statistical crew. How in the world can that happen?
I'm also convinced those officials have never seen a legal screen set. Good Lord.
Oh, the moving screens are out, aren't they?
My gosh, guys. At some point, just let it go.
Especially in the high pick and roll out at the top of the key. They are vigilant on that right now.
But that officiating crew was getting rather ridiculous with it.
It was rough, yeah.
It was a little too much. But we got that. Tigers Tulsa tonight. We mentioned that. We'll do that at 5. We'll talk in depth at 5. I'll be out at about 5:30. I'm going to be headed down to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We also have more drama in D.C. with the Commanders. This time, an official lawsuit from the Attorney General in D.C. has been announced. And did you see the Commanders' response yesterday to the AG saying he was going to announce this today?
I did, and I'm glad that D.C. AG they're doing things in all the states. I don't know exactly how the setup is with the District of Columbia. It's very different than the other states. We know that by of course the original setup of it. But I know across other states, attorneys general, they really do. It's kind of two things they really do. Well, the state's legal business and then consumer protection. And Gabe, I have texted you before. Yep. I wish we would get more vigilant and more into consumer protection, like those outlaws across the street from our radio station that always run their gasoline price about $1.05 higher than anyone in town. Where in the world are you buying it from, and what is your buying power? I want somebody from the state attorney general's office to walk in there, consumer protection, go, why are you $1.05 higher, and behind you is $1.05 lower? What's going on here?
Yeah, why do I drive to Senatobia and it's a complete dollar?
Now some of that state taxes, some of that state taxes, Tennessee, but also kind of back to my treatise yesterday of the market working things out. Bigger than having somebody from the Consumer Protection Division go in there waving a badge around, I almost want to stop at the pumps and go, do you know you can drive 50 yards and get it for $1 less? The consumer should be taking care of that. The market should be driving that.
Yes, I believe that, but also I'm all for consumer protection.
Me too.
People
Me too.
Need to be protected from predatory businesses.
Me too, Gabe, because big will squish little if they don't have safeguards. They will every single time. Boy, I'm going way too far. but we have to have it. And I know in Arkansas, the Consumer Protection Division of the Arkansas Attorney General's office that I was a part of for the 7 worst months of my life, they are constantly in the fight with the public utilities, energy, the Rural Electrification Association. They're constantly battling them to keep heat, air, fuel, light bills low.
And in the lawsuit, 3 defendants listed: Dan Snyder, the NFL, and of course Roger Goodell. So this story is just now going to develop, and I believe the AG in DC has asked for a full disclosure of the Beth Wilkinson investigation, for Dan Snyder to actually be in, and there's going to be subpoenas all over the place.
They're ready for the truth to come out.
But they're ready for Dan Snyder to actually face
something,
to be in front of the court instead of on his yacht going from port to port overseas.
And drag Goodell and the NFL into it because, and Gabe, but another thing I've been on my soapbox about, they didn't police themselves well enough, so other entities had to jump in.
Well, I don't even know if we can call it policing yourself, because they actively were either complicit or tried to cover it up completely.
Okay.
So it's like they went out of their way to
You
not
didn't help,
themselves.
Now you're involved.
Yes, and Roger Goodell, I wonder what's going to come out about him and how this is going to affect him as a commissioner in the NFL, because it's very clear he's been complicit in this whole thing. So,
and Gabe, we've been told since we were all youngsters, you're as guilty driving the getaway car as if you robbed the bank.
Yep. You were part of it. Also, in the NFL, Jeff Saturday speaks up for the first time since being named the interim in Indianapolis. Brett, you mentioned the other day, you said you don't want him to insulate himself. When he goes back to ESPN, you don't want to hear,
Chuckle Hut. I was a disaster.
He's already trying to do that.
He sure is, and it's an incredibly bad look.
I agree.
Already in that Chuckle Hut. Well, I'm going to take a flyer at it.
Yep.
No, we're not talking about you being the tee-off guy in a 4-man scramble on a Monday.
You get criticism. You get criticized if you're bad. It's that
This
simple.
is the biggest big boy league there is.
And you've been put in a position, a very privileged position that not a lot of people get to be put in. So we're going to talk about that at the bottom of the hour and play some sound from Jeff Saturday. Also, as far as our guests are concerned, 3:30, Michael Katz will join us from the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. Ole Miss versus Bama. We'll talk about that around 3:30, 4 o'clock. Keith Smith joins us, as he normally does, from Spot Track. And there's a lot to get to in the NBA. We'll talk Grizzlies. Also, got to talk about the Nets situation right now. Jacques Vaughn finally gets the interim tag taken off of him. He's 3-1 now as the head coach since the Nets moved away from Steve Nash. Also, with that, Nets are 3-1 without Kyrie. And I have to go over some numbers about, with just Kevin Durant in the lineup and with Kevin Durant and Kyrie in the lineup, the wins and losses. It is stark. There's a big
Did Ben
big
Simmons
difference.
hit double digits last night?
He was close. If
he
he wasn't there.
He still hadn't.
Let me check this. This is actually a good question because I think he had a better game last night. He had to do a little bit more. But I don't know.
And I don't know why I didn't stay up and watch that myself. I don't know what happened to me late last night. I just kind of fogged out after the Grizzlies game because that was super weird.
6 points.
6
okay,
points.
well, he still hadn't had double digits this year.
Nice. Well,
and
but
Gabe, I didn't ignore you, too.
Great job.
Your last text of the night last night, I didn't answer. I kind of fogged out. I'm sorry.
Bellarmine. Bellarmine with a big win over Louisville.
Yeah.
And then is
we
Jack
watching
Harlow
that.
somehow connected to Bellarmine that I don't know about?
What about Jack throwing down? Why is Bellarmine tweeting him out?
Well, it's your guy. We're a
Jack.
big Bellarmine show.
Big
now.
fan.
Big Bellarmine show.
When's he going to be in town? Will he play Mud Island?
Who knows?
If he plays Mud Island, I'm there.
4:30, Bill Bender will join us from the Sporting News, talk some college football. We do have some Thursday night football to get into. And by the way, another just ravishing, just a NFC South tilt tonight on Amazon Prime Falcons.
I'm glad we're not picking the Thursday night games. We haven't all year. We've talked about them, but I'm glad we're not because we don't need any more damage done to our records this year.
In this game, I guess I would pick the Falcons to cover, but good Lord.
And we're not picking the Tigers for a football forecast this week, but we will pick and discuss. And I think we're all just hoping against hope. This hour of our show brought to you every day by our title sponsor this hour. That's Lexus of Memphis, the one and only Lexus dealership in town at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-334-9673 for any service inquiry. It's quite impressive to watch that service department at Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on all 22 models that remain, and the 2023s really starting to take over. And always special leasing options. Drive-in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 22 or 23 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
By the way, the Bellarmine story of what they had to deal with last year and what they're still dealing with the NCAA, making them play at Freedom Hall, this has been nasty. Because they
last year couldn't go to the tournament.
Won the A-Sun. A-Sun, and because of the transition to D1, they couldn't go. I mean, it's hopefully they can get it done because they're a good team. They're a very, very good team in the grand scheme of one bid leagues, but regardless.
They're all-time win, too, to beat mighty Louisville, mighty U of L.
Yeah, Kenny Payne. Oh, no.
Rough start.
Yeah.
Lost to Lenora Ryan in
lost an exhibition and then lost to Bellarmine. That's right.
He's the guy.
We'll see. Now, my top story of the day, Grizzlies improved to 8-4 in San Antonio, 124-122. Grizzlies win in overtime. I'm going to be honest with you. It will never get old. Never get old. As long as Pop is there, I don't care who's on the team. Obviously, it would be a lot sweeter if Tim Duncan, Manu, and all of them were on the – but as long as Pop is there, to see the Grizzlies pull out a close one versus the Spurs will never, ever, ever get old. Desmond Bane and Ja both had 32. Desmond Bane, I have to focus on this. The All-Star case is it's very real at this pace. And obviously we're talking about 12 games in, but I have no reason to believe this pace will slow. His second half scoring this year, he's second in second half scoring in the NBA. He's behind Kevin Durant, but think about these names behind him. DeMar DeRozan, Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Not only all-star level players, all-star caliber players, but all NBA type players. What he's been doing, averaging 24 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4.7 assists, nearly 5 assists on 46 from the field. This has been unbelievable. But that game last night, a legal screen fest. The Grizzlies ended up with 20 turnovers. They wouldn't give Steven Adams.
Their crowd rocking.
It was, but that officiating crew didn't give Steven Adams a lick of grace last night. Also,
and he played great.
What did we think of the stop clock malfunction? The fact that Pete and Brevin have to sort of step in and say something, and they were
right.
They were correct. They were vocal on the broadcast too.
Yeah, they were right. I can't believe there weren't more reminders there that they had to be that assertive and really step out of character for both of those true professionals to have to do that, to almost pull the fire alarm themselves.
That is embarrassing though, as an official, not to notice the clock's not running. lift your head up. I mean, it's not that complicated.
Look around.
And then the clock starts.
Get the thumb out of your.
Then the clock starts as soon as the Grizzlies inbounded after they got the free bucket. The Spurs, they ended up getting it right, ran 5 seconds off, probably ultimately helped the Grizzlies win that game, but that was a debacle.
Gabe, you're so right. Beating that brand, those Spurs, I mean, that's like in 20 years, people are going to be beating Alabama and thinking they got one in on Saban. Mm-hmm. You're not beating Nick Saban, but you're beating that brand. It's like playing Notre Dame in anything. It's that big brand. My top story may be the last shot for Ryan Silverfield to have some confidence restored by a lot of his fans in him tonight. It's against a so-so to bad Tulsa team. I saw Tulsa, I think, play pretty well. That might have been more of an indictment on Ole Miss. I don't know. I thought Tulsa was pretty good that day. That was in late September, but tonight at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium against the full reeling Tiger football team. Hadn't felt like this in a long time, just really on the heels as a collective program, as a fan base. A win tonight, next week against Northern Alabama, and then that will get them bowl eligible. And that bowl run is still kind of the last sacred thing not to fall.
Yep. And Davis Brin for Tulsa is a game-time decision tonight, so there is that. My feeling, though, on the whole thing, I would imagine Braylon Braxton, their backup quarterback, is going to be in there.
Not top story of the day.
This is the Commanders. Commanders, of course, have the DC AG Carl A. Racine pressing charges against them. Consumer protection lawsuit, which obviously prohibits businesses from taking advantage of customers and preying on their lack of knowledge about the industry. And I think this is needed. This is probably overdue in the grand scheme of things when we're talking about Dan Snyder. But I want to focus on what the Commanders did to respond to the AG's sort of preface of this yesterday. He said he was going to announce some things. The Commanders go out there in a statement of their own, and they used their own running back, Brian Robinson Jr., getting shot as an example of the out-of-control violent crime in D.C. that the AG is doing nothing to stop, and that he'd rather make splashy headlines based on offbeat legal theories. They used their own running back who got shot as an example and tried to use him as a pawn in their scheme. I just hate that.
That's contemptible.
That's disgusting. And Brian Robinson Jr.'s agent didn't like it. Ryan Williams from Athletes First responded. He said, up until an hour ago, the Commanders handled the Brian Robinson situation with so much care, sincerity, and class, and I was so grateful for all of it. Although I know that there are some great humans in that building, whoever is hiding behind this statement is not one of them. And that was the end of his statement. You know exactly who's behind the statement. You know exactly that Dan Snyder is the one that told his PR person to release this. This is what we need to do. Say his name. At this point, I know that you have players out there that are on that team. You have to say his name. This is the only thing that will continue to put pressure on him and ultimately make him sell the team. But here's my final sort of thing on this. Just sell the team already. I'm tired of dealing with the day in, day out drama and talking about Dan Snyder being a bad person. It just feels like, I feel like a broken record at this point. Just get rid of the team, get it in better hands, and let's move on.
It's almost like these negative political ads. At some point, are they really making any impact? Right. I mean, how many different times can you say, you're a terrible human? And that's kind of where we are with Daniel Snyder, my not top story. Grizzlies maybe in a weird, wacky, kind of goofy way. Win of the year last night, maybe. Maybe against Pop Spurs. 32 from Ja, 32 from Desmond Bain, and 19 rebounds from Steven Adams. And we talk about this front office, and we give them all their credit, and I apologize for all those questions I had way back when. Game, set, match. Y'all shut me up. But of all the deals they've made, JV for Steven Adams, it is one of the great deals they've ever made. Steven Adams is much more of a fit. JV was much more offensive. He could give you more in the offensive end, but we don't want Jonas Valanciunas taking those shots. We want Desmond Bain and John Morant taking those shots. But get Jaren well soon, because they've held the line, I think, for about as long as they can. he's got to get well soon
And
or get in there soon. He's well.
Steven Adams, in regards to what he does distributing the ball, is the thing that you point to. And while I think guy for guy, if you put their stat lines next to each other, you'd say Jonas Valanciunas is the better player. He's certainly the better offensive player. But that Steven Adams fit, I agree with you wholeheartedly. At the time, it looked ridiculous, but right now, it's seamless. It's absolutely seamless. That'll do it for not top story of the day.
What a deal. Now we love Steven Adams, and that hadn't always been the case in this market. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. Now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Sign up with promo code SPORTS56 for that no-sweat first bet. How about the Falcons tonight? Take the hometown head coach, Arthur Smith, and the Falcons. Use promo code SPORTS56. FanDuel with all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props, and when you win, you get your winnings paid fast. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Sign up today with promo code SPORTS56 for your no-sweat first bet. That's promo code SPORTS56. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets expire in 14 days. Restrictions do apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Now, the SEC on CBS could only be one place this weekend, and that's in Oxford. Number 9 versus number 11. Alabama versus Ole Miss this weekend at 2:30. Michael Katz from the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal joins us next to discuss.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Hey Memphis, I'm Regina Moore, owner of Chef Flavors. Born and raised in the 901, I have so much pride for my city. So, my husband and I created a product Memphis can be proud of. Our award-winning spinach artichoke dip is on Walmart shelves now, and we need your help clearing the main. Let's show Walmart how Memphis come together for their own. Unlock the inner chef in you with Chef Flavors.
Barton's has been your hometown building supply store since 1885, offering local delivery. Now Barton's offers in-stock utility trailers, a great option for contractors and frequent DIYers on tight schedules. Available in single and tandem axle options, these 6-foot, 4-inch by 12-foot, 16-foot, and 18-foot trailers are made in Northeast Arkansas and include 15-inch tires and wood floor construction. Visit your West Memphis Barton's at 215 West Broadway to check out these quality in-stock trailer options.
Scott Graham here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Week 10 of the NFL season kicks off in Charlotte with NFC South action between the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons. Marcus Mariota and the Falcons need a win to keep a share of the division lead. Join me, along with Ian Eagle and Hall of Famer Tony Baselli, for the Falcons at the Panthers on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Football season is underway, so now is the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's free bets back. If your first bet doesn't win, just sign up with the promo code WIN. FanDuel has all your favorite bets from the money line to point spreads to player props. So sign up today with promo code WIN for your no-sweat first bet. Make every moment more this season with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of of the NFL.
Must be present in state where lawful to wager. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit fanduel.com/RG. Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342. Arizona 1-800-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut 1-800-9-WITH-IT. Indiana, Kansas 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com. Louisiana 1-877-770-STOP. New York 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789. Wyoming, West Virginia 1-800-522-4700 or visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing, and they've only been around for 5 years. Choose from hundreds of choices of wood, tile, vinyl, and carpet. Timmy, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood, tile, vinyl, and carpets. Jenkins meets all your needs from renovations to home building to installation. Enjoy buying excellent quality products at awesome prices. They're all about customer service at Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando. Call 662-469-9350.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect machine. It's really a miracle of evolution.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Back rolling on Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. If you want to hit us up today, should have mentioned this in the first segment, but hey, here it is. The listener line is 901-360-8255. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Sports 56 WHBQ, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Joining us now via the phone line is Michael Katz, covering Ole Miss athletics for the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. You can follow him on Twitter at Michael L. Katz. That's with a K. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing well. Doing very, very well. Brett's down there in Oxford, calm before the storm. It's gonna be a fantastic sort of scene there on the Grove and in Vaught Hemingway.
Yeah, no, it's about as good as you can ask for. Two teams that I know Alabama isn't, what we maybe thought it might be, but they're still very, very good, and they are still Alabama. Against an Ole Miss team that is playing some really good ball. It's got all the makings of a really fun one.
Michael, for Ole Miss with the much-needed week off, what player and maybe what position group do you think Ole Miss fans will really see the benefit of that week off from?
I think it has to be somewhere in the front seven, particularly linebacker. I would say just. They've been dealing with some issues there and up front, and I think we kind of saw this, particularly against LSU, where and I think Lane Kiffin said it best that when you play against elite talent, you can get exposed, and I think in that game you sort of saw some of maybe the holes, literally and figuratively, in the defense, and I think that part of that is because they've been banged up. They've had guys. Kerry Coleman has not been, healthy for most of the season. Troy Brown was, he's been in and out. I think those are guys that especially with this Alabama team that I know, again, not typical Alabama in terms of power run and doing all the things that we're used to them doing. Jahmyr Gibbs is still really, really good. And so, they are going to have to be stout in the front seven, and I think those linebackers, if they can get them back healthy, I think that's going to be huge.
The Alabama play calling has been bizarre to me this year. You look at their yards per rush stat, they're top 15 in the country, and yet their attempts are 88th, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. They still have that ability to get that power run done. They just haven't really done it with Bill O'Brien. Now, for the Ole Miss offense, what do you think the likelihood is that this is going to come down to Jackson Dart making some throws that he has to make?
I think it has to. Ole Miss, we know they're going to want to run the ball. It's what they do really, really well. They've got two of the best backs in the country. They run block well, and Jackson Dart is a threat. But when you are playing an elite program that is probably going to be doing things right, you never really want to face Alabama, but Alabama after losses is usually pretty tough. So I imagine they're going to probably be on their game. It's going to come down to Jackson making some throws, and we have seen him make them, and he has progressed really nicely, I think, especially as they sort of found his use in the running game. I think that's really kind of opened up the offense as a whole. But there's been a few where it's been just off on some deep shots, and when if he's got Mingo down the sideline or Watkins over the middle for a deep throw, I think those are plays he has to make, and if he makes them, I think Ole Miss is going to be in a really good spot.
Michael, you're always so kind to us with your time. We appreciate that. Today you were with us at SEC Media Days. You're always so very kind to me as well, and I appreciate that. You were with us at SEC Media Days, and the idea of be sitting here when we finally get to this game with Ole Miss with a better record. Alabama's played a tougher schedule, but Ole Miss with a better record, and Jackson Dart with these numbers: 14 TDs, 7 interceptions. We asked for all these projections at SEC Media Days. I'm going to boil it down to just the next 3 games. For Ole Miss to go 3-0 in these games, remember, 14-7, what does Dart's final touchdown interception numbers look like if Ole Miss goes 3-0?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say he's got to be 3-1 the rest of the way. So I think like 20-8, something
That's
like
exactly
that.
Mine.
I think
and tell me that interception. Is that interception a pick six? Is that interception flip the field? Is that interception when Ole Miss is definitely driving? Or is it an innocuous one that he throws that pick and then they kind of go 4, 5, or 6 and out? But I think he's got one more in him the rest of the year.
I do too, and it's again, not all interceptions are created equal, just in terms of what they're going to mean in the grand scheme of the game. He has been pretty good at not making the one that really kind of kills you. I mean, yeah, he's had some, but for the most part, they've been like before the half, and there's been game to come back from. Now, obviously, the LSU one was tough in the end zone. That was one that was a difference maker. The game really kind of changed from there, but for the most part, he has been pretty good at avoiding, the monstrous one at the really bad moment. I think it's hard to know when it's going to happen, but I will say he's been pretty good at bouncing back from it for the most part too.
Mm-hmm. And he was slinging it all around the end of the year at USC last year, and he threw a few picks there. So he had to bounce back in that Graham Harrell offense. There's no question with how much they put it up. Now, with him, how much do you think – and I've been saying my whole narrative, if you will, this entire year is I feel like next year's when you get the most out of Jackson Dart, learning the system, getting through it, understanding what's expected of him. How much do you think Lane Kiffin has sort of insulated Jackson from that sort of having to put it in the air too much? Do you think he has simplified things in his first year on purpose?
I think maybe to an extent. I also think there's sort of I think maybe unrealistically, we put some expectations on him that maybe, I think we forget, like he was a true freshman last year. He was 19. He's 19 right now. He played at SC, but he didn't play a ton.
Right.
And so I think we sort of put these expectations on him that maybe, right or wrong, I think we thought he was going to step in and it wasn't going to be this drop off for Matt Corral. And you realize how polished Matt was when you see, how far he came from early in his career to late, and I think I think he's done a nice job overall. Has it been perfect? No, but I think that part of I don't know if we'd even call it a problem, but I think we in the media, we see 5 stars and we get excited and we think, this is a home run.
Can't miss, right?
Sure, yeah, it's going to be a surefire thing, and then you remember, this is a teenager. Learn in a whole new place, learning a whole new offense. He's basically starting college again. So I think all things considered, it's been pretty good. But you got to be pretty excited about next year with him and Judkins and all that talent coming back. I think potentially that's they're already averaging near close to 40 points a game. It's crazy to think what it could be next year.
And the talent along the O-line, you lose Nick Broker, but Caleb Warren, Jeremy James, Micah Pettis, and Jaden Williams, Micah Pettis and Jaden Williams, both freshmen. How impressive has it been for you to sort of sit back and see Lane Kiffin has built back, and even on the defensive line, he's done a great job with this, obviously more senior-heavy, upperclassman-heavy on that side. How impressive has it been to see how quickly he sort of rebuilt the trenches at Ole Miss? It really is up there with most of the SEC and very competitive in that regard.
Yeah, and I think that's been and he has said this. That was a really big point of emphasis when he got there was when you go out and like walk on the field in pregame warmups, like Alabama looked a lot different than Ole Miss up front. Like you could tell, like, oh yeah, those are guys who are going to be drafted really high, and this is a team that maybe wasn't quite there yet. It's a lot closer now. Now, is it all the way there? I don't know. I think we'll see on Saturday, but it's a heck of a lot closer than it's been, and I think that's huge. And I don't envy anybody who has to block Will Anderson, and it's going to be a couple of freshmen that are largely having to do that, and that's going to be tough. But Jaden and Michael Pettis have done a really nice job. The interior, the center and the guards have been pretty good for the most part. The pass blocking, I know the sack numbers look really good. Jackson Williams sacked 7 times, I think. There have been moments where it probably should be a little bit more, but Jackson makes things happen. But overall, with the recruiting, finding the right guys and finding the right guys in the portal, college football has changed so much that you can build teams so quickly and not miss the beat and have these quote unquote rebuilding years. It really is amazing to see.
Michael, I get this question from a lot of my Ole Miss friends, and I think I've told about half one thing and the other half another, so I'm at least right with one group. This year's team or last year's team to this point? Which one's better?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I thought about that, actually. And Lane, actually, we talked about that a couple days ago because I asked him, do you feel like this team's in a better spot, depth-wise than it's been? And he said, I think this is our best roster, but it doesn't mean it's our best team. And, there was just something really, special about that team last year. They just had guts.
Because of Matt.
Yeah, Matt was just so good at not turning the ball over and just scrapping it out. And, Sam Williams had this amazing year. And a lot of things
Dean Leonard.
Yeah, a lot of things just fell their way last year. And obviously, you make a lot of those opportunities with how you play well, but that was a really special season. And so, I think Matt is a big part of that because, last year Matt didn't make the devastating play, and I think that's so big. And he just ran the offense so efficiently. Now, I will say, there's no disrespect to the running backs that were there last year because Jerry and Ely and Snoop Connor and Henry Parrish were great players. This running back group, I think, is better, and I don't think that's that hot of a take. I mean, they are amazing. And so I think there's good things and bad things from pros and cons to both, but I would have to take last year's just because I think Matt is like you said, it's just that's a huge difference.
Last thing, what do you think the keys are for Ole Miss to come out with a win? You look at what they like to do offensively, the third-ranked rushing offense in the country, and they're facing the 11th-ranked rushing defense. Now, Alabama's been a little leaky in the secondary for whatever reason. Also, when you look at the other side, I feel like Ole Miss's pass defense has struggled. Against LSU, they struggled to a certain extent. Even against A&M, Connor Weigman sort of got what he wanted. How are they going to be able to deal with Bryce Young in that passing attack?
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is, Bryce Young is just so good at not getting flustered.
Yep.
He's so patient. And, if you're doing the drop, dropping all the guys back and doing that, he's not going to get flustered. He's not going to force the ball. He's going to figure it out. And so it's going to Chris Partridge has, man, I do not envy that job right now. Just it's tough because, again, we talk about, is Alabama broken? They're actually 41 points a game. Like, there's things are not, the world is not, it's not all caving in like, some people are saying, and Bryce Young is still the Heisman Trophy winner, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He's still really good. I think for me, it's Ole Miss has to get turnovers, and I think that's how these sorts of upsets happen. Mm-hmm. There has to be a big play, or or a big return. One of those sort of momentum plays that maybe doesn't happen all the time. A pick six, a kickoff return, a punt return, a punt block for a touchdown. One of those sorts of things feels like it kind of needs to happen.
Yeah.
Because just sometimes it's your day, and you can sort of tell when you can ride that wave. But I think if we're looking at just the sort of basic stuff, Ole Miss has to be stout up front, and I think that's where they've lost the last few years. Is they haven't been able to really compete on the offensive, defensive lines. And I think this is their best chance to. This is the best group they've had. It's time to see if they can do it. They don't have to, win every fight. It's going to be tough. That's tough to do against any, upper echelon SEC team. But if they can consistently do it and get some of those big wins up front, I think they're going to have a chance.
It is funny that you say that because Bryce Young is way too cool, calm, collected. Because normally you'd say with a good quarterback, get pressure in his face. He escapes pressure. He keeps his eyes downfield. He's never flustered. I mean, it's bizarre to see. I would imagine still a big game from him. But if you can get those turnovers, everything tends to flip on its head and change. But Michael, always appreciate it, man. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Michael.
That is Michael Katz from the Northeast Mississippi Daily Journal. You can follow him on Twitter at Michael L. Katz. Now, listen, if you know me heading into the weekend, I'll never steer you wrong when it comes to a good meal, and that won't change. That's why I'm steering you in the direction of 117 Prime. Sits very conveniently on 117 Union Avenue, and it is a prime example, no pun intended, of what an American steakhouse should be. Absolutely perfect steaks cooked to your liking over hickory wood for the best flavor in town. Pair one of those steaks with a glass of wine from their award-winning wine list. Also, don't miss out on the seafood. Oysters, clams, shrimp, lobster, you name it, they have it. On top of that, cocktails, desserts, some of the best in town. Make sure you get by. Opens at 4 p.m. every single day. They'd love to have you by. To make reservations, 2 different places that you can go. One is their website, 117prime.com, or call this number. I will repeat it, 901-433-9851. Again, that's 901-433-9851 for 117 Prime. Now let's go ahead and get to our final break of hour number 1. When we come back, Jeff Saturday has spoken for the first time since he's been named the interim of the Indianapolis Colts, and it's interesting. I have some thoughts on it next.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch us daily with live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique, fun bet types like same-game parlay, and exclusive, always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. If you've never tried FanDuel Sportsbook, what are you waiting for? Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code CASH so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code CASH. Must be 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Aw, you didn't have to go so all out for my birthday.
Yes, we did. Because birthdays are about showing your friends how much you care for them and how grateful you are for their... This is Jamie from Progressive. No, this is a great time. Progressive protects you 24/7. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm sorry that happened.
Jamie.
Can you hold on one second? I gotta take this call, but remember, birthdays are about togetherness.
Contact us 24/7 on the phone, online, or on the mobile app. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms.
I'm with John Fergus from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Hey sports fans, this is former pro basketball referee Tim Donaghy. You've seen my feature film Inside Game and just released on Netflix Operation Flagrant Foul. This season, I'm red hot in the hoops against the spread. Tonight confirmed, Portland, New Orleans is huge. Free on the recorded message line. Call 1-800-638-3411. That's 1-800-638-3411. Plus Philly, Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, and Thursday Night Football free on the recorded message. Call 1-800-638-3411. No hype, just me, Tim Donaghy. I love to go 6-0. Portland, New Orleans is a monster. Call 1-800-638-3411. It starts right now, free on the recorded message line. Call me, Tim Donaghy, 800-638-3411. I love to sweep the board or the season's free. Call 1-800-638-3411 and go to VegasScoresAndOdds.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis.
Let me tell you what Melvin Toast is packing right here, all right?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Get it? So yesterday, Jeff Saturday had his first game week presser. Obviously, the Colts going to face the Raiders this Sunday. Raiders 5-point favorites. Line moved because of the Jeff Saturday news. And also, speaking of which, no one has called plays offensively, so Jeff Saturday put 30-year-old pass game specialist and assistant quarterbacks coach Parks Frazier in. He made him the offensive play caller. But this looks all bad right now. But let's go ahead and play this sound. This was Jeff Saturday yesterday, sort of addressing the media about the decision to make him the interim coach of the Indianapolis Colts.
Here's the deal. Everybody talks about I'm completely comfortable in who I am as a man, bro. I know I can lead men. I know the game of football, and I'm passionate about it. I have no fear about, are you as qualified as somebody else, bro? I spent 14 years in a locker room. I went to playoffs 12 times. I got 5 dudes in the Hall of Fame that I play with. You don't think I've seen greatness? You don't think I've seen how people prepare, how they coach, how they GM, how they work? I mean, won Super Bowls, been to 2, here's the deal, man. None of us are promised a good job. I may be terrible at this. And after 8 games, I'll say, God bless you. I am no good. I may be really good at it. I got no idea. But I dang sure ain't going to back down. I can tell you that. Here's the deal.
Now, I'll say this before I really get
hard
to
pass.
I'll say this before I really get to the part that makes me a little angry. Most of the message I understand, most of it. Have you accomplished something? Sure. You have not accomplished anything as an NFL head football coach.
Not one thing. Not any more than Dallas Clark or Bob Sanders or Reggie Wayne.
Are there unqualified people that get jobs in the NFL? Yes, that doesn't mean you should. My biggest issue is that last part, Brett, where he says, I may be terrible at this. No, you're not.
Oh, shucks.
That's not allowed. You're not allowed to insulate yourself from failure. Criticism, if you're bad, will be deserved.
Because he's that safe landing spot back to Bristol.
And it shouldn't be sweet if you suck. You deserve criticism. Irsay, Colts, everyone deserves it. If
I
you're
don't think
bad.
it needs to be stoned, but I don't think it also should just be a night at the Chuckle Hut.
No one else gets afforded that luxury of, if you're bad, that was a crazy situation, bro, man. Can you believe that? Can you believe what happened? I never thought I'd be thrown into that situation.
Shucks.
You didn't deserve this job if you're Jeff Saturday. You were gifted it. And it's not allowed to be disgusting results. Return to ESPN and say, that was crazy, guys, huh? Can't believe that
coaches
happened.
for keeps.
Yeah, that can't be it because 99.9%.
Shazam.
And here's the other thing, 99.9% of qualified candidates in the NFL
That's right.
aren't afforded what you've been afforded. So all of the messaging for the first probably 3/4 of what he said, I understand. That last part, trying to insulate himself from failure, no, I can't handle that. I can't deal with that. I just think that's pretty crappy. And also, I love Jeff Saturday as a ESPN analyst. Thought he was fantastic. This is kind of ruining it for me. It really is. And we'll see how it goes for the Colts down the stretch, but I can't imagine it'll go well. Just cannot imagine. No quarterback play with Sam Ehlinger. Jonathan Taylor's been in and out of the lineup. Just, And they were supposed to win the AFC South. Can you believe that? Now, if you need to go get some lunch or dinner tonight, lunch over the weekend, I have a place. Best barbecue in town. It's Central Barbecue, where smoke is their sauce. 4 locations, open daily, Midtown, downtown, Summer, and the one on Poplar. They also have one on South Haven on Getwell Road. But the one on Poplar I visited today, I got myself a nice pork sandwich, and I got the sides. I got the potato salad and the greens. So fantastic. Try the smoked turkey. You can start with the smoked wings. They offer them a million different ways. You can get them heated up, dry rub. You can get some mild sauce. You can get whatever you want. And all of those barbecue sauces are great. I go with a hot barbecue, but they have the vinegar stuff. They have sweet stuff. I mean, just go to Central Barbecue. Thank me later. Now, if you want to send that barbecue anywhere in the U.S. of A., it's very simple. Go to eatcbq.com, click that shipping tab. You can send it to people, your family, during the holidays. They don't get to get this barbecue. Send it to them. eatcbq.com, click that shipping tab. Also, if it comes to catering, very, very simple here. 15 or more people at home, at the office, call this number, 901-527-9990. Again, 901-527-9990. And that is for Central Barbecue. But those 4 locations, one more time, before we get out for hour number 2, Midtown, Downtown, Summer, the location on Poplar that I always visit, and the one in South Haven on Getwell Road. Let's go ahead and get to hour number 2. We're going to have a lot of guests. We're going to talk some Thursday Night Football, Falcons at Panthers, Bill Bender at 4:30. 4 o'clock, though, coming up next to start the hour, talk some NBA with our guy Keith Smith from Spot Track.
Whether it's a small clog or a large sewer main drain issue, the experienced technicians at Conway Services are ready to solve all your drain problems. For a limited time, take advantage of our 93 or it's free drain clearing special. That's right, $93 or it's free. If we can't clear it, you don't pay.
License number 64210, 64365, EAS MS 19668.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings & Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings & Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for their loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every $1 you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's off Highway 64 in Bartlett, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings & Grill.
Did you hear about Taco Bell's apology? Yeah, they apologized for going too far with their breakfast. Like the naked egg taco and chicken biscuit nachos? It was too much. All you need in the morning is tasty, simple food. Like the breakfast crunch wrap. Fluffy eggs, melty cheese, sausage, crispy hash browns, wrapped in a warm tortilla. Or, as some call it, a breakfast crunch thing. Grab one today, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell stores during breakfast hours only until 11 a.m. While supplies last. Contact local store for hours and participation, which vary.
Welcome to Triumph Auto Sales, where you'll have a great car buying experience. Triumph Auto Sales is your #1 source of quality pre-owned vehicles ranging from lease returns to new car trades, all at huge savings. Plus, Triumph has a full array of financing options to meet your needs. Find your next car online at triumphautosales.com or stop in today at 4875 Elmore Road. Triumph Auto Sales will help you get the vehicle you want at the price you need and the service you deserve. For a great car and a great experience from a local and family-owned business, visit Triumph Auto Sales.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli, with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
Bon appetit.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Papa was a Rolling Stone, but now I got Rolling Stones.
Hour 2 of Sports Time. Gabe and Stats is here. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Joining us via the phone line is Keith Smith, at Keith Smith NBA on Twitter, Celtics blog, Spot Track, wherever you can find him. Also, Front Office Pod Show with Trevor Lane on YouTube. Keith, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Of course, as always. I saw you were doing your League Pass run around last night, and you saw the end of that Spurs Grizzlies game. That was some wild stuff, wasn't it?
It got weird.
Yeah, it certainly did. A little bit of home cooking there with the time clock, but in the end, it didn't really end up mattering too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we kind of got rid of that administratively league-wide about 85.
Yeah, I'm assuming it was an honest mistake, but LeBron might say otherwise in San Antonio with a broken AC and other shenanigans that have happened there.
And also, is it a league-wide thing right now that they're doing with illegal screens? That officiating crew did not. I don't know if they've ever seen a legal screen set.
Yeah, it's that is actually something that has come up quite a bit around the league. Is big men especially feel like they're being put in positions where if you're not set for a good 2 seconds before the screen contact is made, that they're going to call you on it. And the other thing is, I do notice sometimes there seems to be a inexperience. The teams are more often hunting out mismatches. You get the guards and the wings who aren't usually the good screeners coming up, and they tend to not get quite a step. But my guess is this is just one of those point of emphasis things, and it'll go away probably right around the holidays like usual.
Keith, explain the Lakers and the Pelicans deal. Can the Pelicans can they turn that pick into Wemby mania?
They absolutely can. The Pelicans have the right to swap picks with the Lakers at this draft. So what could happen is if the Lakers are bad enough and then have lottery luck and they jump up into that number 1 overall spot, the Pelicans absolutely would be there and able to pick. This is very, very similar to when the Boston Celtics were in the Eastern Conference Finals and then they got the number 1 overall pick, which they later traded to the 76ers. They traded down. Markelle Fultz went number 1, and the Celtics luckily landed with a guy named Jason Tatum at number 3.
Right.
But it was, that's exactly a similar situation happened then with Boston back then. So this is the same thing the Pelicans are hoping for and rooting for right now with the Lakers.
Keith, I've said through really going back to Anthony Davis in New Orleans, maybe not to Chris Paul, but certainly to Anthony Davis, I want the Pelicans to thrive. I want them to do well. I want the Pelicans and the Grizzlies to emerge as a big regional 4-hour, 5.5-hour drive rivalry. I may not want it as bad as I used to think it if they can get Wemby.
Yeah, that would not be, I think, where you want to be in that position, because all of a sudden you'd have a Pelicans team that is set up for the very near future to be at least a dominant offensive team with a chance to be a pretty good defensive squad as well. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. My ideal is I want all 30 teams to be successfully run, knowing that not everybody's going to be good every single year, but as long as you're bad with a plan, that's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, that Pelicans Grizzlies rivalry feels like it's been kind of bubbling and simmering and ready to pop off. And when you got two superstars on both teams, and John Morant and Zion Williamson, and potential other stuff coming, well, we could see a lot of fun come in that direction there in the Mid-South area, pretty soon.
So for the Lakers, they have no real chance of turning this thing around. They're 2-9. LeBron's got a groin injury. If we know anything about those sort of twinged muscles, they don't seem to just go away. They're going to be nagging injuries as the season goes along, and I don't know if LeBron is going to sit out for an extended period of time, but we will see. But the emergence of Russell Westbrook off the bench kind of cracks me up, considering the Lakers have found the scapegoat of Russell Westbrook this whole time. I think that in the grand scheme, and maybe you can obviously speak to this, it's more about the Russell Westbrook contract than it is about Russell Westbrook on the floor at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's unfortunate, but often we get to this point with these players, especially the way the NBA trade rules work and the way the NBA salary cap works. They are, player X's contract. It's very little about what they do as a player on the floor anymore. I mean, we saw an 8-player trade between the Oklahoma City Rockets and Oklahoma City Thunder and Houston Rockets, rather, this summer, where all 8 players were ultimately waived by the teams just because it was a salary cap related deal. So contracts are, they mean a lot if the players are good and they're valuable players. So yeah, and I think the scapegoating of Russell Westbrook is over. I think everybody has seen, there's issues there, but this is a poorly constructed roster. It was not well put together, basically since they won the title in the bubble in 2020, and everything has gone, about as poorly as it could since.
Jazz at the top of the Western Conference, and I don't think national shows are going to talk about it all that much. You'll see a little bit of it here and there.
Go away, Jazz. Go away.
But at this point, they and the Bucks are at the top. They both have 10 wins. They're the first 2 teams with 10 wins. How, and I asked you this, I think, either last week or the week before. How legitimate are they? It feels like this is not something that's going to go away that easily.
Yeah, I mean, and if you're asking about both, the Bucks are super legitimate.
Yeah,
we can feel really good about that.
Of course.
But on the Jazz side, I mean, it's one of those things. I just wrote about it in a piece that came out today. I examined a bunch of early season trends for SB Nation, and one of the things that I looked at was the Jazz, and I don't think it's real. They've played a fairly favorable schedule. You all know when they played Memphis, they played one game where Ja wasn't there, played another game when Desmond Bane wasn't there.
Yep.
So that's a pretty weakened Memphis team when you don't have either one of those guys. They've played the Lakers twice. They've played the Rockets twice. So that's 6 of your games already. Half your games have been against teams that are either bad or weren't at full strength. Now, they've played some tough games, too. They played some games on back-to-backs and the like and things like that. But the Jazz have benefited from that schedule. They're also shooting lights out, especially in weird places like Lauri Markkanen can't miss a shot around the rim. He's shooting about 88% near the basket. That's not going to continue to happen. He's been a guy who's normally been down in the mid-60s for his career. Their guards are shooting lights out. Their defense has actually been pretty solid. So we'll see. I think, I'm also not sold that Danny Ainge isn't going to still come around and say, all right, hey, we're playing pretty good, but somebody's giving me a pretty nice offer. I'm going to make a trade right now and move on because that's what's best for us long term.
Yeah, Keith, last night, our announced team, a couple of different times, they made mention of not only the West is always good, but this is elite West. This is peak West. Where are you on that?
Yeah, I don't think so. I completely disagree with that. I think the West is very good, but I don't think this is as good as it was when you could look at some of those teams in the early 2000s even sometimes in the in the mid teens of the 2000s, where you'd have 4 or 5 teams pushing 60 wins. I don't think we're going to get there. Now, some will say, well, that's because the conference is so deep, but I don't think it's that. I just don't think there are any elite teams left. There are very, very good teams, but I think I'm not going to go as far as saying the balance of power has shifted to the East, but I think the conferences are a lot more balanced and even now than they have been for a number of years. And a lot of that comes down to a lot of stars have migrated east over the past few years. We've seen some of that. And then we've seen some of the teams, like the premier teams, like the Lakers and Clippers, haven't been able to come together the way people thought they would. And that's, pushed the West down a little bit as well.
Warriors sit at 4-7, 12th in the Western Conference. And I preface this by saying I think they'll get it righted and they'll figure it out and they'll be okay. But what's been the issue with them early in the season?
Their bench stinks. It is absolutely awful. I know y'all have some rooting interest in James Wiseman, but he has been one of the more destructive players for his own team in the entire league. He comes in the game, and other teams immediately go on scoring binges. He looks completely lost on defense. Offense doesn't look all that much better. Jordan Poole, since signing that big contract, has really been terrible this season. Draymond Green is doing okay, but it's very clear teams would love for him to shoot the ball from, outside of the paint. Klay Thompson just looks a little slow. He's not able to get into that mid-range dribble where he used to be able to get a, shoulder half a step by a guy and then raise up, and with that, his great height and his great lift on his jumper, get any look he wanted. He can't get those right now. Stephen Curry's been great. Andrew Wiggins has been great. But those two guys alone aren't enough. They're not getting enough production, and it's going to hit a point where at some point they're going to look up and say, all right, how much longer can we hope the kids will figure it out? They'll be able to be the backbone of our bench, or do we need to look at moving on from these guys and into something different because it's just kind of a mess right now?
Klay Thompson's shooting numbers are very, very scary right now. He's never shot below 40%. I think he's at 36%. He's never shot below 38% from three. He's at 32%. And defensively, I mean, the other night, Kevin Huerter should have gotten that foul, and he's not moving his feet as well. Klay Thompson, as much as I think he takes disrespect, we saw the Charles Barkley thing, he clearly is about half of who he used to be pre-injury.
Yeah, and what's a little weird is by the time the playoffs rolled around last year and they got into the NBA Finals, he looked pretty good. You could tell he's a step slow, which that's probably not going to come back after the back-to-back leg injuries that he had. I don't think we're ever going to see him back to what he was. But this was a guy who a key to their defense was they could put Stephen Curry on whoever the weakest player was, because they trusted Klay Thompson to guard the best wing or guard on the other team. And now we're in a spot where he can't really do that. He's kind of, right before our eyes, devolving into a spot-up wing shooter, kind of a 3-and-D kind of guy. And for what he means to that franchise, the way that roster is built and how much he's paid, they need him to be far more than that. And that's going to be a challenge for the Warriors. That's part of why I think, they're at some point going to look at it and say, hey, unless James Wiseman, Jonathan Kuminga, Moses Moody really pick things up, we need to look into maybe trading one of those guys, or they may need to look at it and say, all right, Klay, you're going to have to come off the bench and be a 20-minute a night bench guy while we start Jordan Poole and see if that's a better fit or where it goes, because it's just kind of messy right now for them.
For Kyrie Irving, the trading him is going to be very difficult. What's the easiest route? I mean, they don't really have too many easy ways, but what's the easiest way for the Nets to decouple from him and be indemnified, made whole, or even get close to it?
They're not going to. The easiest thing for them would be to just ride this out, let his contract expire at the end of the season and wish him well in whatever he does next. They're not going to be able to trade him in a deal where they get anything that's, valuable back. Too many teams right now are, hey, hands up, we're out. We don't want anything to do with that. We're not bringing that into our locker room where this is at. Waiving him really just puts, $30+ million in dead money on your books, and you're just sitting on it then. I mean, maybe that's the direction, they ultimately choose to go. I hope nobody listening got fooled by the nonsense that's going on Twitter right now. Fake verified accounts. It's just absolutely ridiculous. But it's, I don't think that's going to be what happens. here unless Kyrie, really says, hey, I'm not going to do the things you told me I needed to do, to come back. So this is a chance to get uglier before it gets cleaned up. But we'll see, where this plays out. But my guess is he either rides it out in Brooklyn for the rest of the year as a free agent this summer, and maybe by then things will have passed enough that the team will feel confident going after him. But we're going to see.
Do you think he understands the gravity of this and how ignorant he's been and who he threw in with, who he's now kind of allied with? And of all markets, Keith, I would dare say from the front door of the Barclays Center within a 10-mile radius, more Semitic Jewish people than in any other market, maybe only rivaled by the front door of Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, as far as Kyrie, my guess is he has some level of understanding what he's done. I just don't think he really cares in the sense of I believe Kyrie Irving when he says things like when he said about the bubble is, hey, this is bigger than basketball. We have a chance to do something different here, and he got labeled a disruptor, which people took as a negative term, and I don't think that's necessarily how it was meant. I think Kyrie relishes that. I think he would like nothing more than to be thought of as someone who is, has these big ideas about how we can make the world a better place and those kind of things. But I don't think he necessarily cares what impact that has on his basketball career. I think he's the kind of guy who, if they told him tomorrow, hey, you can't play basketball anymore, I think Kyrie Irving would say, okay, it kind of is what it is. And I'll move on to whatever's going to be the next phase of my life. I don't think that's ever been of utmost importance to him.
And to sort of speak to Brett's point about how many Jewish people are in New York, there are more Jewish people in New York than there are in Israel and Tel Aviv combined. I mean, it's ridiculous to think he's doing that in that city. But I digress. I move on to a certain extent. But for the Nets, it feels as if they're at this crossroads of, hey, if we want to be a legitimate title contender, we need Kyrie Irving to be his best self. But if it's anything less, you may be a better team without him. I looked at these stats with Durant and Kyrie combined in games the last two seasons. They're 13-12, but without Kyrie and just with Durant, they're 28-14. The stats seem to show that at times, if it's not a fully locked-in Kyrie Irving, that team's better without him.
Yeah, I think it's Zach Lowe from ESPN who has coined them the greatest theoretical team of all time, going back to when they started their partnership and when they had James Harden, and it never came to fruition. And the reality is, through injuries and other stuff, let's just use that as the catch-all, we've never really gotten to see this team together for more than the span of a few weeks at a time. And that I think is one of those things where part of that is, Nets, you kind of had to know that was coming because Kevin Durant was coming off an injury that has been a career ender, and now he's made it back from the Achilles, but he's had a lot of other issues. I don't know enough to know if they're related to having torn the Achilles or not, but my guess is there's some relation there. And then Kyrie Irving's a guy who has been nothing if not injured throughout the course of his career over and over and over again. He's missed time. And then he's also missed time at times because of things that are unrelated to injuries in basketball. So I think, when you look at it for the Nets, you may be, onto something there, basically saying, hey, we're better off if we just play with the guys we got. We've got a bunch of guys who want to be here, want to play basketball. I believe Kevin Durant, when Kevin Durant says, I just want to play basketball. I think that's the most truthful, honest thing that's come out of this entire situation here is when, I don't think he meant, let's just keep this quiet because, I don't want to deal with it. But I think it was more, let's keep it quiet because I just want to play basketball. That's all I want to do. I just want to go out there and hoop and do my thing. And, and I think there is something to that where right now he feels a little bit emboldened and freed by, hey, we can just play right now. That's all we have to do.
Do you think somewhere in the inner sanctum of the Knicks offices at the Garden that James Dolan and some other Knicks officials are going, whew, at least it's not us making fools out of ourselves?
I don't even think it's deep in the inner sanctum. I mean, you might be able to overhear that right out on Front Street, right out in front of Madison Square Garden. I think they're very comfortable saying, hey, this isn't us. It's funny. I was listening to someone the other day, and they said, what a world when the Knicks are the stable model franchise in New York. What is that? What have we come to here? But, at the end of the day, I think if you're Nets people, you're looking at it and saying, yeah, and you know what? We're still winning games, and you're not. So, where does that leave both of us, even if neither one is really a contender? But, yeah, I think the Knicks are very happy they didn't attach to Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving a couple summers ago when it looked like that might be a real thing.
Does it annoy you like it annoys me that Jacques Vaughn finally got that job after all of the nonsense and all of the off-court drama and just the total blow-up of that franchise? He finally gets put in that seat.
Yeah, a little bit. I liked Jacques Vaughn when he was the coach of the Magic, and I thought he got kind of a raw deal here in Orlando because they gave him an extremely young team that wasn't anywhere close to ready to win. And the franchise didn't have the patience to see that through as far as trying to become, all right, let's build. And let's kind of, hey, if the coach is learning, that's great. He's going to learn along with a young roster. The Magic got impatient and said, hey, we want to start winning now. And they moved on from him. I thought when he coached the Nets in the bubble, he had earned that job to be his job. I thought that's the way they'd move forward. They ended up going with Steve Nash. And in a rarity, Jacques Vaughn stayed. We rarely see the interim head coach stick around on the new coach's staff. But, and then to hear, hey, you can coach us tonight and tomorrow, but we're going to hire Ime Udoka, but he, to his credit, just went out there and did his work, kind of did his thing. And I think there's a lot of, spurs in him of just, hey, do your best, do what we got to do. I'm going to work with these guys, and clearly those players respond to him, and they're very happy to be coached by him.
I honestly feel like he can be a stabilizing force for them. And also last night seeing KD sort of show him love in his first win, gave him the game ball. I thought that was a good look as well. But he has been waiting for that job forever. And also, I like he didn't pull any punches in his presser. He said, I may not have been the first choice or the second choice, but hey, I'm the choice now. I'm finally in this seat. It is what it is. Now, final thing for you. I know you like Desmond Bane as much as we like Desmond Bane. Never too early to start talking all-star potential. If he keeps at this pace, do you think he could crack that list this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think we got to feel pretty good that John Morant's going to get a healthy amount of the fan vote.
Of course,
he's one of the more popular players in the league, so he'll be there for sure. But yeah, I think if the team is good enough, you got to be top 4 in your conference. I think, or right on the door step of that to get that second All-Star. I think that's where the coaches start saying, all right, well, we can give you a second guy. And for my money, he's clearly that second guy, for the Grizzlies. I think, what is so exciting is watching him. We knew he was going to be a shooter.
Of course.
We thought he'd be a pretty good defender. His ability to make plays for himself off the dribble right now and his ability to make plays for others as a passer, that leap has come very, very quickly. We've seen a lot of other guys. It's year 5, 6, 7 sometimes before that really comes full fruition. And here he is already figuring it out right away. The sky's the limit for him. In that backcourt. If I'm a Grizzlies fan, I'm looking at it and saying, all right, I feel pretty good about my backcourt for the the rest of the decade or so. I think we're set there.
5 assists per game, and I mentioned this off the top of the show. Desmond Bane, second and second half scoring in the NBA, only behind Kevin Durant. That's good company to be in. But always appreciate it, Keith. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Keith Smith, at Keith Smith NBA on Twitter. Spot Track, Front Office Pod with Trevor Lane, also from Celtics Blog. Now, if you need a grill, I have a place that will give you one. And that will give you a sturdy one that will be available to you year-round. And it's our second-hour sponsor. Best ability is your availability. That goes with being on the floor in an NBA game and with grilling. You need that grill available to you, and the Big Green Egg will handle that for you. 2 different reasons that is the case. Highest quality ceramic in the game, so it will not rust like some of those gas grills. Also, they've had a warranty on it since 1995. All those ceramic parts, they have a warranty on. So if you have one that goes malfunction, guess what? You send it in to our good friends at the Big Green Egg. They send you one back free of charge. You get it attached. You get moving. It's that simple. 100% natural lumpwood charcoal grill, so the flavor is going to be superior to that of a gas grill. Comes in 7 different sizes, all with that lifetime warranty. So they have a size and a price point for you, I guarantee it. Smoke, bake, roast, sear, and grill. You can do that on a Big Green Egg. You can do whatever you want. They have pizza stones that you can buy separately. They have different spices that you can go find. You can smoke some ribs. You can sear off some burgers. You can make pizza. You can Get some desserts going. I have a buddy who makes some apple crumble on his Big Green Egg. It's fantastic.
Saturday is a grill day, Gabe. Literally, all 3 meals should be off the grill, off the Big Green Egg Saturday.
And hey, we still have a lot of football left this season. And I know a lot of people like to get it on college football Saturday and NFL Sunday. So get a Big Green Egg now. And you can find it at these retailers, Garden Spas and Pool, Germantown Hardware, Hamilton's Fireplace and Grills, and both of the Aces in town, East Memphis Ace and Cordova Ace Hardware. So if you're looking for that do-it-all, reliable, long-lasting grill at a price point that you can afford, look no further than the Big Green Egg. Time for a break. And when we come back, we talk about college football Saturday is a good grilling day. It's a good day to read Bill Bender, too, because he's got a lot of good news, nuggets, and the whole 9 yards on college football. We talk to him next about what to expect this weekend.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. Depending on how long you've been around, you've likely known my name for 30 years. Perhaps for my 20 years as the morning show on Kix 106 as the Young and Elder Show, or my 15 years at Brian Elder Roofing. So obviously, my reputation means everything to me. One terrible customer experience could tarnish a third of a century of goodwill. My reputation for quality and strong relationships is our main focus. We're the highest certification, a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning. If you have a business or a commercial building, we're the highest certification for warranties with GAF and Mulehide products. We don't come at you in sales mode. If you got a problem, sometimes the solution is just to fix the problem. Call me right now. I'll come out and see you today. 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events to let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Bartlett Small Engine has been serving quality power equipment since 1970. They have a full line of power equipment, parts, and services for most makes and models. Bartlett Small Engines has the best brands in the power tool industry: Honda mowers, trimmers, and generators, Steel blowers, trimmers, and chainsaws, Echo trimmers, blowers, and chainsaws, plus quality products from Red Mat and Shindawa. And they're all American made. Bartlett Small Engine is your can-do store. 6780 Summer Avenue. Call 901-386-9779.
When cold symptoms keep you up, try Vicks NyQuil Severe for max strength nighttime relief. Just one dose of Vicks NyQuil Severe starts to relieve 9 of your worst cold and flu symptoms to help take you from 9 to none. Get some rest and feel better with Vicks NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, sore throat, stuffy nose, fever, best sleep with a cold. Medicine. Use as directed.
It's gotten colder outside, and the folks at Family Leisure want you to relax at home in your new massage chair or catch a game in your new home theater set. The Relax at Home sale is going on right now at Family Leisure with great deals on pool tables or shuffleboards, or enjoy a game with all your friends and your family. Also on sale now, saunas, hot tubs, patio furniture. It's the Relax at Home sale. Come by Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road. That's where you'll relax at home.
Are you suffering from chronic joint pain like Heather?
So I have terrible arthritis and have had it for quite a while, and I've gone to all kinds of doctors trying to figure out what to do, and everybody just said surgery, and surgery was months of rehab, and I didn't want to do that.
But then Heather discovered QC Kinetics, local medical professionals who specialize in natural biologic treatments, non-invasive solutions designed to repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints. And she absolutely loves the results.
I like to tell anybody who's suffering that there are options that are not steroids, that are not surgery. You owe it to yourself to find out about QC Kinetics and find out what they can do for you.
No surgery, no drugs, no downtime. Discover QC Kinetics and learn more about natural biologic treatments with lasting results.
Call QC Kinetics 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
I think this is the best chicken I ever had.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Bill Bender is from the Sporting News. He's their national writer. He covers college football very closely. We bring him on every single Thursday to talk college football, now in the 4:30 time slot on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill, how are you, man? Any big plans for the weekend?
No, we're just getting back to it. So, great weekend last weekend, get down the stretch run here. Not traveling this weekend, but still should be some pretty good games out there.
I think it's an underrated week. I really do.
Bill, come on to Oxford. We got room for you in Oxford for Ole Miss Bama. After Bama lost, game day cleared out. There's rooms everywhere in Oxford.
Should be a lot of fun down there. And obviously, the world celebrated Alabama's demise last week.
Yeah.
Ole Miss still got to look at it. They need some help, obviously. But, that's probably second best game of the weekend, right behind TCU, Texas.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt TCU and Texas have that. It has more stakes. It has Heisman stakes as well. Ole Miss, Alabama, they don't have that. Bill, we've had the dynasty over. For you, what will mark the end, or has it been marked for the end of the Nick Saban dynasty?
I'm not there. I think just because they're always going to have a 5-star roster when he's there. The thing that has stood out to me the entire season is that the penalties, the just mistakes, the fact that in the losses to Tennessee and LSU that they had 7 pass interference calls. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the stuff that, and we make a big deal of Nick Saban throwing his headset and those kind of things, but you just can't have that many penalties on the road and expect to win ball games.
Defensively, I've been confused with Bama because theoretically, from a talent perspective, I don't see that big of a difference between them and Georgia, but they have not been even close to Georgia in regards to, in big games, shutting down certain teams. I mean, we saw the Tennessee game, guys running just free over the top, whether it's Terrion Arnold letting someone behind him, Brian Branch, who I think is very talented, all those guys very talented. What is the issue outside of penalties?
Gabe, I'm going to say it. I think Georgia's better coached on the defensive side.
That's where I was trying to go, but it's wild to me to think after all the issues they've had with Pete Golding and all the complaints from that fan base and the results. I mean, just look at the results. They still have the talent there, but they're just not up to snuff.
Right, and you mentioned Georgia. I mean, they just throttled Tennessee. Maybe not on the scoreboard, but the way that they won that game was just so impressive. 6 sacks. When you take an offense that averages 580 yards a game and you half that, essentially, you pester Hendon Hooker all day. The rain helps, but weather, you're not going to hear me make excuses about weather. I live in Ohio, man. We wake up, we don't know what it's going to be from day to day. Just a totally dominant performance. And I think the weird part about it is this Georgia team reminds me of the early Nick Saban dynasty, the grind it out and just beat you down to a pulp type team, and they're content to do it. I mean, they had like a 10-minute drive in that game that resulted in a field goal, and they were happy with it.
Mm-hmm. And that long a drive's unheard of. Now, I've told some people Saturday for Ole Miss, I would love 4 or 5 6-minute drives and take my chance with that. Never mind to whack off 10 minutes off that clock and convert in some points. You know, Bill, through the years, I've made a lot of comments on a lot of things, and I've been wildly wrong on some, but there are a couple on the coaching front that I'm proud of the stand I took, and I think I was justified. I thought Tennessee was making a mistake with what they did with Philip Fulmer, and the unintended consequences could be something that they couldn't imagine. I think I got that one right. I knew Jim Harbaugh was a good coach and would eventually get it right at Michigan. I checked there. There's plenty of times I've missed. And to the people that were questioning Brian Kelly at LSU, I'm so glad Gabe and I both, and I know you did as well, said that's a home run. That's a grand slam. That's over Waveland Avenue by 10 miles.
No, and he showed. And, I mean, what a gutsy call at the end of the game. I mean, obviously, huge call. And Brian Kelly, we know he can coach. I mean, I've gone through this back and forth in my head, Brett, whether – is there more pressure to coach at Notre Dame than there is at LSU? And I think the short answer is yes, because of the expectations of coaching there, what you're up against as a program, the reaction from week to week, being a national brand. That's not to say there's not pressure at LSU. It's just a different kind of pressure. And, you know, I because you're in the toughest division in college football from week to week. I mean, he could be the hero this week, and if they lose at Arkansas, you're the GOAT all of a sudden, you know, and the GOAT in a bad way. So, but yeah, he can flat out coach. That's why he went to LSU, for that opportunity to win games like that, and you got to give him credit for doing it.
Mm-hmm. And I have to give you credit. Last week we talked about Clemson and if they're fraudulent or not. And I asked about TCU versus them, who you have more confidence in going undefeated down the stretch. Now, again, TCU, 7-point dogs on the road in Austin this week. But you said you think TCU more likely. And you pointed to that game last weekend, Clemson versus Notre Dame. You said that's not going to be easy. And it was not easy in the slightest. And I think they got completely exposed. Now, with that, still number 10 in the college football playoff ranking. They still have a chance to go undefeated down the stretch and get into the ACC championship, if I'm not mistaken. If that were to happen, do you think, is the door still open for a team like that, or do you think that expose that Notre Dame put on them is enough to keep the committee away from them?
Yeah, when I said that game wouldn't be easy, I didn't think it would be easy for Notre Dame. I mean, that was the eye-opening part, the way that they put it on Clemson. I think here's another somewhat controversial take. I think North Carolina is going to beat Clemson. I do, because their offense and Drake May and getting up and down the field and the dynamic players they have at the receiver position. That's what Clemson is missing. The more I think about it, you know, you go back to 18 and, you know, Trevor Lawrence was throwing the ball to Justin Ross and T. Higgins. Yep. And now those guys combined for over 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns. Now they've got two receivers that average about 600 yards and 3 or 4 scores. So I think that, to me, is the biggest difference on that roster is they just need more power on the perimeter. And until they find that again, they're going to run into the same problems. Now, granted, Trevor Lawrence was throwing them the ball, but, you know, I mean, you can't just find Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
Bill, do you think the Rose Bowl game comes around and plays nicely with the college football playoff? Because for as much, I know you do, being a Midwestern guy, I do. And I really, really got it after I got to go to that game. Gabe's been able to play at that stadium. We all get the fabric of college football runs right through the Rose Bowl stadium and the Rose Bowl game, but they've been the roadblock for a long time for accelerating a playoff. The SEC seems to get the blame, but the Rose Bowl's kind of been the blame.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, you know, hopefully they factor into it, because anybody, like you said, you've been there. I remember you texted me when you went. And Gabe,
spiritual.
I remember my first time going there, somebody told me, our photographer at Sporting News at the time said, just go in the tunnel and stand there for a second and think about, you know, Charles White running up that tunnel and Bo and Woody and all those Big Ten guys that we grew up with. And it was awesome. But an impediment to the next part of college football. My solution was I would put it in the rotation of championship games because, for all the great Rose Bowls we remember, I think the greatest game we've ever seen, at least I've ever seen, was, the Rose Bowl between Texas and USC. So it deserves to have that stage every once in a while. It's been a while since it had a Super Bowl. It had a couple, I think.
Yes, last Super Bowl was Buffalo and Dallas.
It's so jarring, though, just pulling up on that stadium, and especially being inside and knowing you have to play a game in it. I remember our visit when we were playing UCLA, it would have been in 2014, sort of the turn the corner season at Memphis. Fuente made us go up in the stands, take our pictures, and deal with all that
Good
before
for
the game,
him.
so we didn't walk in there and just look around amazed, because it really is a picturesque football environment. I mean, it's unbelievable. Big Ten wise, who's the better team to you, Ohio State or Michigan?
Oh man, we're gonna find out.
We will.
I think that's the good part.
3 weeks.
We'll find out. They're starting to hype it up a little bit here, and both sides. You know what?
Well, 2 weeks from this Saturday.
I think it's going to be a great game because I think both sides are getting antsy about the other one. So, like, if you ask an Ohio State fan right now who's the better team, they'll probably say Michigan. And if you say, you ask a Michigan fan, they'll be like, well, they got all those guys on the outside and that kind of thing. And, it's going to be a lot of fun. And, we wrote for us this week about the potential for both making the playoff and how that could actually happen. And I think that's a neat scenario. It's going to be every bit like 2006 was when they were undefeated. I still remember where I was, what I was doing. A game like 2016. Somewhere in between those two is how that's going to feel. I think it's going to be awesome.
Almost 2 weeks out, if you could get the honest assessment from both coaches, which one's thinking about the game more right now? I know they both say neither one of them are, but which one do you think's really already 2 weeks? Ohio State, Michigan, Ohio State. Day or Harbaugh?
Probably Day, because they lost last. And I think
great answer.
And I think with Michigan, the difference is they know what they're going to do in that game. They're going to do exactly what they did last year, and they have a little bit better quarterback this time. Their offensive line's really good. They run the ball well. I think Ohio State, as Day has said this week, they've found multiple ways to win football games. But, when in doubt, it's get the ball to Marvin Harrison. They do have more talent, and I think they have a better fastball. But to use a baseball analogy, I think Michigan's just going to keep working the corners with that running game. And it's going to add up to some tremendous theater when they play here in a few weeks, and I can't wait.
Bill, I'm going to that game. Long since playing with a friend of mine. It's a college football lover. Ole Miss and Mississippi State play that Thursday night. I'm flying to Columbus via Charlotte, Detroit, Chicago. Now, I'm literally all over the world to get to Columbus that Friday afternoon. I can't wait to be there. I can't wait to go to the Jack Nicklaus Museum on campus at Ohio State. But to be there on the banks of the old Intangi, I'm so busy right now, I really can't even think about it that much. But when I do, I can't wait to be there and hear those bands and see that scene, and I want them to stay undefeated.
Yeah, I'm spoiled. I've been able to cover it, I think, 6 times now, and
that's great.
Other ones. It's just joke with our in-house Alabama guy because I'm like, yeah, Auburn's big in Alabama. I was like, this one is big everywhere. I mean, everybody is going to have an interest in that game when they're both 11-0.
Let me tell you where it was big last year. It was big at the Iron Bowl. Every tailgate spot at the Iron Bowl last year in Auburn had that game on, Bill, because I was there and a bunch of different tailgate spots.
Yeah, and I think the way that they look at that game, it's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. A lot of passion on both sides. Yeah, and when they play it in Columbus, for whatever reason, the energy's a little bit more hyped up. Maybe that's a selfish read by me growing up around here, but it just seems like there's more at stake when they're in Columbus, and the 06 and 16 matchup lends credence to that.
Mm-hmm. Now, last thing for you, when we talk about Heisman, Hendon Hooker was in the lead until last week, I think, in a lot of ways. Who's sort of in the lead for you, and who do you think can make a late push to really get over the top?
Well, it's wild to think that C.J. Stroud had like 80 passing yards, and he's, bolted to the lead in some ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. And with C.J., he has the big stage against Michigan. Blake Corum could sneak in there. Hendon Hooker's still going to be in the mix. I think a guy to watch, I was telling somebody about this today, watch Caleb Williams.
Yep.
28 touchdowns, 1 interception. Next 3 weeks after this week against Colorado, which he'll pad his numbers, UCLA, Notre Dame, Pac-12 championship. And Lincoln Riley quarterbacks do all right when it comes to Heisman voting. So I think he's a guy to watch.
On that same token, what about Bo Nix at Oregon and what he's been able to do?
He's been phenomenal. I mean, what a transfer portal win for him. It's very similar on an accelerated pace to Joe Burrow in some ways. I mean, I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow, but I'm saying the way that he's done this is very similar. And then even Drake May. If Drake May wins an ACC championship, he could do what Lamar did and have a chance to win that award. No question.
His stats are ridiculous, and I don't think people really pay attention to it because North Carolina's been that team that will get by the skin of their teeth. I think people tuned out after their loss to Notre Dame and also sort of after that close win they had early in the season against App State. But North Carolina's a good team, and Drake May is just doing unreal things. And I know you wrote that the sort of intrusive piece about him earlier. I would encourage all of our listeners to go look at that. But I think genuinely, if he can stay relatively unscathed down the stretch of the season and still have those numbers, even if he takes a loss, he might as well be in New York with the numbers he has.
Yeah, and Lamar was the last one to win it and not go to the playoff. So I don't know that Drake May necessarily needs to do that. And that's what makes him another sleeper. And then Blake Corum, if Michigan runs all over Ohio State, and he's the reason why. I mean, it's been a while since a non-Alabama running back won the Heisman. He'll also have a chance.
Yep. So we will see, and we'll see what happens this weekend. Bill, always appreciate it, man. Thanks for joining us. Have a good weekend.
Hey, no problem. You guys be great. Thanks so much.
You got it. Bill Bender with the Sporting News, and it is a big weekend of football coming up. When I said 2 weeks, that's Thanksgiving weekend. That means 2 weeks from today's Thanksgiving Day, and I know the place to start your Thanksgiving spread, the meal that you're going to have all your family in. You want to get it just right. Let the commissary do all the work for you. The holiday special, smoked turkey, homemade cornbread dressing, the gravy, the cranberry sauce, mashed potatoes, green beans, rolls, butter, all the plates, all the utensils. They've got it set up for you. Call right now, 901-754-5540. Let Walker Taylor and his staff do it for you. 2 weeks from right now, we'll be getting ready for the seconds, maybe even thirds for a lot of people, maybe fourths for some. And you can get whole turkeys and hams, all the sides, the gravy, the quart dressing, quart of sweet potato casserole, all that from the commissary, 901-754-5540, and the desserts that go with it. And if you're planning on eating any of the above items on Thanksgiving Day or on Christmas Day, you can pick them up the day before the holiday, and they'll give you special heating instructions. If you're eating the items on a specific day before the holidays, the commissary can heat it up for you and have it all prepared just for you. 901-754-5540. In Collierville, 901-979-5540. Let the commissary do all the work. And when you're there, you're going to have to get some of that barbecue. And this weekend for tailgating, let it all start at the commissary. 901-754-5540. Online at commissarybbq.com for the catering, for tailgating, and always time for the holiday bird.
When we come back, we may need to tell Bills fans why it may be time to start panicking. We'll tell you about that. On the other side, we'll put a cap on hour number 2 when we come back.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, I want to talk about our seasoning and sauce today. Our sauce is a great blend of sweet, mustard, and vinegar. It's good on so many items other than barbecue. It's good on pizza. People use it in lieu of ketchup. But our seasoning is the original dry rub, created by my father using a mixture of Greek and Cajun spices. People think our sauce and seasoning are good just during the grilling season. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's good year-round. Our seasoning is good on fish, chicken, deviled eggs, corn on the cob, French fries. People even put a dash in a Bloody Mary. To get a complete list of all of our recipes using our products, go to hogsfly.com, click recipes, and you'll see 50 wonderful items and dishes. And Brett, our sauce and seasoning is available at most grocery stores, and if they don't have it, please remind your grocer to stock it. And our slaw is also available at most Kroger stores.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Biscuits and Jams is the best new restaurant in the Mid-South. Their shrimp and crawfish Creole Benedict has been named one of the best one-of-a-kind breakfast dishes by the Commercial Appeal. Biscuits and Jam's secret is homemade food with local ingredients. You can't get any better for breakfast, brunch, and lunch. Biscuits and Jams, open 8 to 2 Tuesday through Friday and 9 to 3 Saturday and Sunday at 5806 Stage Road. For delicious, local, homemade food, Biscuits and Jams is simply the best.
Did you know nearly 40% of men under 40 and over 75% of men over the age of 40 experience sexual performance concerns? At the Memphis Men's Clinic, their experienced physician performs a comprehensive evaluation that determines which specific issues may interfere with your sexual performance. These issues can vary and range from anxiety to medical issues, low testosterone, or erectile dysfunction. The Memphis Men's Clinic has evaluated hundreds of men of all ages over the years and reestablished a normal sexual life. The Memphis Men's Clinic will work aggressively to resolve issues and allow you to restore your sexual health and overall well-being. That's the Memphis way. If you're 20 years old or 90 years old, come and get cared for the Memphis way. Treatment that's based on your specific needs after a professional clinical evaluation by their experienced board-certified physician. Call the Memphis Men's Clinic today at 901-443-0475 or visit memphismensclinic.com.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by the Big Green Egg.
How do you want that cooked? Burnt to a crisp or bloody as hell?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Back rolling Sports Time with Gabe Stats. I'm Gabe, he's Stats. Bills fans, it might be time. It might be time to panic.
Everybody panic!
It might be that time.
Run for your lives.
This is not good. Thank you to Will Ferrell from Semi-Pro. Throw it on there one more time for Bills fans.
Everybody panic!
It's time to panic. 2 days in a row, Josh Allen is left out. He is a non-participant altogether in practice, and they got an MRI early in the week on his UCL in his elbow. It's sort of a common pitching situation, common pitching injury in Major League Baseball. But today there's also a report from Elena Getzenberg, who's the Bills reporter for ESPN. Apparently Josh Allen just stuck his head out at the end of the media availability for Bills practice. If I know anything about coaches and not putting players out there, especially premier players, during the media portion of practice, it's probably not. It's not a good sign.
And he was in a full body cast.
It's not a good sign. Apparently, he had a sleeve on his right arm, so there is that. But it's time to panic if you're Bills fans.
He's not Josh Allen. I think Matt Barkley's capable, though.
Is it Matt Barkley?
Or is it Case Keenum?
I think it's Case Keenum. Hey, Case Keenum's capable. Why not?
I agree. I don't think for an emergency, doomsday, certainly not Josh Allen. You've got something in both of those.
I guess, but here's the issue that arises. A UCL, unless it can heal on its own, the year could be gone if it goes badly here. If they play Josh Allen and it goes badly. And if
it's what ended Terry Bradshaw.
And, Brett, if they don't have Josh Allen, they're not a Super Bowl team to me.
No.
They have a great roster, and they have great weapons on the outside. A good O-line.
Remember last year when I loved Ian Book with the Saints?
For a minute and a half.
That was so bad.
About a minute and a half.
Loved Ian Book. And I was there for that game against the Dolphins on Monday Night Football, and it was dreadful.
But it is time to it's time to go ahead and panic. It's time to panic if you're the Bills right this second.
This was the Bills' year.
Yeah. Now Thursday Night Football tonight, another doozy for Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. Falcons -3 at the Panthers. You're going to have Marcus Mariota versus Steve Wilkes, who's the interim since Matt Rule got fired.
Arthur Smith can get to 5-5. That's extraordinary.
Impressive, and could be right there threatening at the top of the NFC South. That's what he's done all year. Now, Steve Wilkes for the Panthers says he's sticking with P.J. Walker, even though he had the Blutarski QB rating last week, 0.0. He's going to go, and he's been okay, I guess, when he's been in there. But that team is just
you throw the blue up, it's not good.
They're not capable this year. They're just not. They have good defensive pieces. They're cool. Maybe they can stick in a game.
Full start over.
I'd imagine this is going to be an ugly, nasty matchup. But again, it fits the bill for Amazon Prime and what they've been throwing out there, doesn't it? Good, great announce crew.
You know I haven't watched. I've listened right here on our station all year.
And they have great announce crew at 560 AM, 98.5 FM. Great announce crew for Thursday Night Football. But our Amazon Prime, you have this great announce crew in these games. They're just disgusting. They've been nasty. And I love the pre, I love the post. But they're just not getting a whole lot of content to deal with the matchups they've been having. But, of course, Falcons versus Panthers. Again, an NFC South tilt of epic proportions. Let's go ahead and get to a break. When we come back, we're almost there. We're an hour and a half away from the Tigers in Tulsa kicking it off at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll talk about that. Then I'll be on my way to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll be back on the other side.
Scott Graham here from Westwood One. Coming up on Thursday Night Football, the Carolina Panthers host the Atlanta Falcons. Both are looking for a bounce-back win to improve position in the still wide-open NFC South. Ian Eagle and Hall of Famer Tony Baselli will have the call on air and on the free live stream sponsored by AutoZone. Don't miss any of the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Without the ones like you, who work tirelessly to keep things running, everything would suddenly stop. Hospitals, factories, schools, and power plants, they all depend on you. No matter the weather, emergency, or time of day, you're the ones who get it done. At Grainger, we're here for you 24/7 with supplies and solutions for every industry and access to product specialists ready to help. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Golfers, tee it up this fall at Edwin Watts Golf Shops for big savings. Save up to $150 off on Ping G425 woods. Upgrade your gear with discounted Wilson stand and cart golf bags. And stock up on TaylorMade Distance Plus golf balls. Now 2 dozen for $35. Don't miss these items and more happening now at Edwin Watts Golf Shops and get a free custom fitting today. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day satisfaction guarantee, or shop us online at worldwidegolfshops.com.
Open wide. Let me see that smile.
There's a back-to-school braces boom at Doc Kelly's office.
Can you hold on for a sec? Can someone bring me more brackets?
She needs to realign her staffing plan with more registered dental assistants.
Can you reorder the rubber bands and bread?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Chronic joint pain has a snowball effect. It's not just the pain.
What that did is just make me depressed that I couldn't get back into the gym, and I was inactive, gaining weight. I had to find another alternative.
And for Chad, that alternative was QC Kinetics and the non-surgical natural biologic treatments that can give lasting relief to aching hips, shoulders, knees, and backs.
Once they explained it, it made sense. Putting what we have inside our body back into us in a certain strategic way to heal up in a natural process was fantastic.
QC Kinetics treatments take place right in the office. No downtime, no surgery. And as for the outcome,
I'm just back to bouncing around, having fun, doing my work, living pain-free.
Don't let chronic joint pain rob you of your quality of life. Discover advanced regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics. Call now to learn more. It's a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 901-445-1010. That's 901-445-1010. 901-445-1010.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
This is a damn fine automobile, if you want my honest opinion.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Third and final hour on a Thursday here. Sports Time with Gabe and Stats. I'm Gabe. He's Stats. Brian Dakes, of course, producing the program. Hit us up. 901-360-8255 is the listener line. You can also watch us live and message us on our socials, Sports 56 WHBQ, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or go to our website, easy for me to say, sports56whbq.com. Tigers host the Tulsa Golden Hurricane tonight, 3-6 Tulsa, 4-5 Memphis. Both teams playing for the same thing, trying to stay in that bowl eligibility conversation. Tulsa could lose it tonight. Not for the Tigers. They can't lose it tonight. But this is really, if you look down the stretch of their season, the last big opportunity to get that win where you're going to be favored. They're favored by 7 tonight. Vegas thinks they're going to be able to win. They can get to 5-5, get that North Alabama win, put themselves at 6. But if they drop this, it could be dangerous times here in the city of Memphis.
It could be on the call nationally. You'll be at the game. I'll be watching. Matt Berry, one of my favorites. Yep. He'll be on play-by-play. Lewis Riddick as analyst, and Harry Lyles Jr. on the sideline. Gabe, we met Harry Lyles Jr. at SEC Media Days. Mm-hmm. He was sitting at one of the eating tables. We met him with Heather Dinich at SEC Media Days. I love Matt Berry. I want Matt Berry to go on to superstardom if for no other reason. Matt Berry, he fought the good fight late July, early August, COVID summer of 2020, when the very real specter of no college football existed. Matt Berry went out there and fought his ass off, and I will love him forever for it.
And it's on the Uno tonight, just ESPN. No two, no you, nothing like that. No news.
The big one.
They don't even have ESPN Classic anymore.
Biggest four letters in sports.
But it's on ESPN. Matt Berry, I've talked about this in the past with you. His style calling games is my favorite because it's sort of.
I like his style.
It's relaxed. It's
very conversational.
Fun.
When it's hot takey time, it's not set up in a blazing way. He just lays it out there, very matter of fact. I don't know Matt Berry at all. I've never met him. I don't know him at all. I follow him on the Twitter machine. He doesn't know me at all. He doesn't care about me. I say this just because he has a way of bringing you in, and you can tell college football is deep in that bone marrow, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Now, tonight, quarterback situation for Tulsa is not figured out fully. Braylon Braxton has been in there consistently. He's not much of a thrower. He can make something happen, but they've tried to run the ball a whole lot with Deneric Prince when he has been in there. If Davis Brin can go, this gets tricky, Brett. This gets very tricky.
Gabe, I saw Tulsa on the high water day, especially in defeat. I thought they took it to Ole Miss a lot of the day, certainly stood up for a lot of the day and were able to play very physical. Both quarterbacks played. Brin got knocked out early. The backup came in. Juan Carlos Santana, wide receiver. I mean, you're right there. Q Black Magic Woman or Smooth with Rob Thomas. I mean, he's going to get that joke the rest of his life. Sorry, when you're named Juan Carlos Santana, but a great ball player, and the job that Philip Montgomery's done, it's never been. It's never been great. It's always been pretty consistent, pretty physical.
I also think that this is a game, for better or worse, both of these coaches are putting themselves in the line of fire. This is hot seat time of year. This is what it is. And
it is, Gabe.
That's the truth of the matter.
You don't have much time left.
Whoever loses this is in a very precarious situation. And
I don't know why it just hit me a few minutes ago with Bill. Heck, we're in the short run. It's 2 weeks left after this weekend. How'd that happen?
It happened so fast. But Philip Montgomery, Tulsa stuck by him for a whole lot. They've had some success.
Sure
They've had some downs. But at some
point, is that a game plan for Memphis to stick by Ryan?
I wonder. But also, I don't think, based on where we have been since 2014, that the fan base is going to respond very well. Tulsa fan base is way different. Tulsa fan base is it's a small, tiny
never had
school.
Those highs I talked about. They've never been to a Cotton Bowl.
Yeah, so it's a different situation altogether, and I think that you can unlock a lot more potential through recruiting at the University of Memphis than Tulsa can. So
far different. Yeah, far different.
But and that's why
Memphis
I think
is better sports town, bigger sports town than Tulsa.
But both these teams. Well, actually, I shouldn't say both these teams. But Tigers on a 4-game losing streak. Tulsa is just sputtered. They've lost 5 of 6 down the stretch and started that sort of skid against Ole Miss. They were 2-1 to start the year after a win against Northern Illinois and Jacksonville State. They are it feels eerily similar to me last year. I know it came at a different time of year. Last game of the year, it was Tulane versus Memphis. Memphis to get into a bowl, and Tulane was 2-9. Feels eerily similar to that tonight, though. At home, this is that last big conference game that you really feel like I have a hold on this. I can go win it. I feel comfortable at Liberty Stadium, and it could get me over the hump.
Yeah, it's all in, and going to have to put a lot on Seth Hennigan. A lot's been put on him, maybe more than really necessary, but they got to ride him for whatever's going to be left out there to attain. He's got to go get it for Memphis, and that's going to be a lot of runs. That's going to be a lot of hits.
Let me ask this, because I think this is a worthy conversation. I think it's nuanced because of the lack of running game and this offense having to rely on him way more than they did even a year ago. Do you think that there's been steps in the correct direction for Seth Hennigan from year 1 to year 2?
I do, and it's been with a lot of impediment. It's been with a lot of things that could really have derailed it. I think he's gotten better. Gabe, I don't think a lot around him's gotten better.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. He's the third leading rusher at 289 yards. He has 4
Maybe
TDs.
including his coaching, his personnel around him, his teammates. I sure don't think, and maybe his coaching hadn't kept up with it.
I was very what's the word for it? It was disheartening last week to see the red zone play calling, to see the 4th and 16 that Seth Hennigan's not able to go complete because it's just
and then
tough.
he had the boo-boo, too, when the ball kind of carried him up in there.
He has struggled, I think. But I also think that when you look at the grand scheme of what he's had to accomplish this year, it's all on him. He's the guy. If you go into a meeting and you're dealing with him, okay, you probably point out Priestcorn. You probably point out the tight end, number 86, and
he's been a great
by
the
way, semifinalist.
That's been his biggest help.
Semifinalist for the Mackey Award this year.
Only
the best tight end in college
group of
football.
5 to be in there.
And he's been unbelievable. So you game plan for him. But when you look at this offensive football team, that number 5, that's the guy that you're pointing to, and you're saying we have to limit him. If we limit him, we can win this game.
We kind of have this. That's right. And Gabe, we have fought the good fight all year. We've tried. We bought, we sold. 4-1's 4-1, but every
4-5,
week
4-5. A 4-game losing streak's 4-game losing streak.
It just is, and every week's been chipped away. Tiger fans know that. I'm not trying to berate anybody or be master of the obvious. I guess I'm kind of being that. I don't intend to be. Everybody knows the stakes. Brian and I are going to discuss this in your absence. If you check out to our cutout to head over to the ball game, we want you there, and we want you there cheering hard. I want you to break out that letter jacket sometime soon.
I will.
But this is not the end of Larry Porter by any means. What we're mostly scared of, Gabe, is we don't want to take one step back near that.
Yes. And again, it's not Larry Porter. It's not. It truly is that no man's land of we're good enough to beat Arkansas State, North Texas, and Temple. We're not good enough to go beat the top of the conference. Houston,
good enough
East
to
Carolina,
scare them.
Tulane.
Good enough to play close.
Yeah. And
what's that get you?
It's interesting, too, because the conversation has come up about talent. And do they have enough talent? The recruiting rankings would say they'd have talent. But we do need to have a conversation about recruiting rankings at the Group of 5 level. Don't mean what they do at the Power 5 level. They're not the same thing.
Only thing it means to me is in your conference.
Right.
I think you need to be at the top of your conference.
I think that's fair, but
and
I
the
look
Tigers
back to
kind of have been.
I look back to Justin Fuente. I look back to Mike Norvell. Who were they capitalizing on? Anthony Miller, a walk-on. Phil Mayhew,
Jannard Avery.
a walk-on. Jannard Avery, who was a 2-star.
Alan Cross.
Who didn't get noticed until he was actually on the field at Memphis. Alan Cross, Joey Magnifico. I mean,
a big guy from St. Louis that got offered by Ball State.
who got an offer taken back by Ball State in Western Kentucky.
Right? They reneged.
Yeah,
they know that part.
Yeah.
Boo, Ball State.
And
boo.
Pete Limbo took it back from me.
Or thank you.
And Pete
I don't
Limbo
know
showed up
did
on
we boo him
campus
or thank him?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because Pete Limbo got fired the year after I graduated and ended up the special teams coordinator here. So that was interesting.
I got a friend of mine just hit me with a text, and he's right. This person said lack of speed since day one. I mean, this team would not win any relay races against your teams.
No, I don't think so. The tackling on the defensive side of the ball has been atrocious at times. I don't have the missed tackle numbers in front of me. They have to be very, very high. But again, I go back to what I said yesterday, and I stick by it. There was 2 things coming into the season they needed to improve. It was defense, and it was run the ball. They have not improved in either of those categories. They're Seth Hennigan, again, third leading rusher. They don't have anybody over 400 yards rushing this year. They were 86.
I tried the 9-3 thing. I'm going to end up being very wrong. But all those near misses, was I?
Well, here's my issue, Brett. Last year, you give, because they were 8-3 in the COVID year, you give benefit of the doubt. You say, okay, last year they just
evens out.
They lost some close games. They'll get over the hump as it continues to go along. But the trend has stuck this year. You can't 2 years in a row just say, well, this is a 9-3 team that's going to be 6-6 because they can't get over the hump. At that point, you have to put it on someone. That buck falls on someone. That responsibility falls on someone if they can't get over the hump.
Baseball's the even out sport. Football's not. Big wins, better wins.
Win close games, too. Win close games. Learn how to win, not how to not lose. You just have to get over the hump. And I remember my teams were good at that. My teams were very good at that. And that run, that stretch run, those teams were good at that. And this team the past 2 years has not. And
Gabe, is it uneasy among your former teammates?
Oh, gosh, yes. No question. No question.
Are they close to hitting the Will Ferrell panic button?
There's some that have. There's some that are just fans. I mean, and that's what
Are you among the more patient voices?
Of course. I yes. But with any with the situation how it is now, I don't know how many people are in in Silverfield's on the side of he is absolutely positively the guy, if that makes sense. Like that's not. I don't know if that's a sentiment.
Well, it's certainly up for question. Now Gabe, it hadn't been asked, but I'm going to say it. And if it's sure not, and I know a lot of people going, thank goodness it's not your decision. If it were my decision, I would, barring losing to North Alabama next week, that's not going to happen. I wouldn't do anything right now. I wouldn't. And I know that puts preseason season ticket sales,
especially with the new schedule,
will be really difficult for next year. And one of the biggest arguments against my side of not doing anything right now, and by not doing anything right now, not doing anything in 2 weeks either, staying with Ryan Silverfield for 2023. Let me spell it out as clearly as I can.
Right.
I would. Now, a big argument against that is, are we kicking the can to do something now that we know we're going to have to do in 54 weeks?
Which is, I think that's a fair sentiment. How much patience do you have going into next year if you stay with it? I think also the big question that needs to be asked as an athletic department, fan base, whatever's going on behind the scenes, what's the expectation now? Is the expectation 2 6-6 years in a row? Is that an acceptable expectation? I don't know, right?
In my patient plan, next year would have to be north of 6-6.
Truth of the matter is, for me, showing up and playing when I did, that was not the expectation. It wasn't even close. Went into the season, 8 wins is bare minimum expectation for those teams. Is that expectation sort of in the past? And I know what it was before. I get that, and you don't want to get spoiled over the short term of 7 years. I get that. But what is truly, like, that's the question. What is the expectation now in that athletic department of where that football program needs to be? And my thought process there, too, with the amount of Power 5 wanting to get in the club, the expanded playoff, you want to compete for championships.
Grass being greener.
You could potentially be, and I think this program's in a great spot. If they're at the top of the AAC, they could get into the college football playoff. Very possible. With that in mind, is he the guy that you want to go forward doing that with? That's the question. Is that expectation raised because of what's happened recently? I would lean to the side of yes. But that doesn't mean he can't fix it. He can't figure it out. But I think a lot of people in this fan base have sort of moved in a different direction there. I think the only people
they're voting with their rear ends.
I think the only people still sort of in the mode of, he's the guy, and I don't even know if it's really that sentiment exactly. It's the loyalists. It's the Memphis football loyalists, which I consider myself part of that. It's a tough situation. It really is. And
this discussion proves it. This is illustrative of what kind of the next 45 weeks, 50 weeks of life for Ryan Silverfield in this market's going to be like if he survives regardless of these last 3 games. This segment in our rundown today, as we discussed to do this show, was going to be a Tulsa versus Memphis kind of matchup, strong. And what did we dive right into?
This is what it is.
And no discussion is going to be. We're not going. If tomorrow with a win, well, he bought some time.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is.
That's where it is.
I said,
and that's slow craps, isn't it? That's methane gas coming under the door, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with your sentiment. It's not.
It's almost unfair to do someone like, if you're going to fire me, fire me.
I thought last week, UCF game.
Don't tell me you don't like my shirt.
I thought that win against UCF, there's a chance against Tulane, nationally ranked. You go win that game. I thought that was one where you could say, okay, a couple people are back on the side. There's more time. We can deal with this. We can talk about the games. That loss to UCF at home, I came in on Monday. I said, from this point on, we can't sugarcoat the fact that tough conversations are going to be had. That's it. That's the nature of this profession. If you're a coach, that's the nature of this game. You have to be at the top. You have to win ball games. You have to have more in the left-hand column than you have in the right. It's results. And I don't know how this season's going to end. I don't. There's 3 games left. The SMU game, the way they're playing offense, it's going to look like an uphill battle. Tulsa is a very winnable game, but they have to go do it. They lost to this team last year. But regardless, there has been a step back. You can't avoid that.
There has been. And Gabe, this sounds like big old excuse machine wildly at work here. If it was kind of artificial snow, I'd be blowing snow everywhere with this excuse. I will say this at the end for Ryan Silverfield, whether the end is in 2 weeks or in 54 weeks. He almost never
10
had
years,
a chance.
right?
Or 10 years. He almost never had a chance because first year, full COVID.
Right.
I mean, world coming to an end. Second year, mostly COVID. Third year, everybody's mad at him.
Yep.
When was my chance to shine?
I understand that. I understand it, right? But as a head football coach, and we've talked to him about this in the past, you can't use that as a crutch. There are people who made it better through COVID. There are people that are better off on the other side and figured it out through the process. And as much as you can use those crutches, again, results. Left-hand column, right-hand column. What does it say in the end of the day? So
scoreboard is the truth teller.
And again, the stats I brought up yesterday about the rushing and the defense, the non-improvement there, when you knew going into the offseason those were the improvement zones, that's a concern. For example, look at Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin. He knew he was going to have to replace a whole lot in the front seven. What did he do? He replaced it. He knew he was
running backs.
He knew he was going to have to replace a whole lot along that offensive line. He's got 2 redshirt freshmen producing at a high level, and he replaced the interior, did a good job with it. If you know what your weaknesses are going into an offseason, you try to go fix them. And I just don't think that the weaknesses that were exploited down the stretch of last season have been fixed.
Think how much a guy like Zach Evans would have helped Alabama this year.
Right.
Especially if he had been healthy. And I think we'll talk more about it tomorrow. I think he has a breakout game. I thought Michael Katz would go that direction when I asked that because I think Evans will be fully healthy as he's been all year for Alabama on Saturday. But it's Tigers and Tulsa tonight. Goes way back. I went to this game in 1972.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done. This has always been an interesting game back and forth in the AAC.
It has been.
And last year, of course, the loss. There was a year.
Kind of the same in basketball with Tulsa. Way back through a lot of leagues, the Valley, and ooh.
Yeah. Philip Montgomery's really been there the whole time, too. I mean, he has survived dang near the whole AAC experience for Tulsa. And there's been some ugly.
Went to the championship game COVID year and then went to the bowl game and had the big Donnybrook with State at the end of the game.
But then also has been 3-9. you know, like it's been an up and down thing for him. And they're always tough. And defensively, they had some pros. They spit out some pros, believe it or not. Obviously, Zaven Collins a few years ago. They found out a way to
Did the Tigers use all the luck up Cotton Bowl year with the missed chip shot field goal?
Who knows? Who knows? But also, some of these games that got lost last year and this year, can you really call it luck? Maybe Houston not getting a great kick on the onside kick, but also I don't think
nightmarish.
I don't think it's luck. I don't think it's luck that they returned a kick. I think that was waiting to happen. The Tigers.
I thought East Carolina was bad luck.
I think the Tigers have been relatively rough on kickoff coverage and punt coverage. East Carolina, could you call it luck? You missed a easy tackle there in the flat on Keaton Mitchell. You ran the ball. on your 2-point conversion and second
Holt
overtime.
Naylor's kind of stumbling and bumbling around, though.
Yeah, I guess. But, I don't know if you can just go back and chalk up all of the close losses in the past 2 years to, hey, they were unlucky. I think that's a cop-out.
That's speaking the truth. This hour of our show brought to you every day by our title sponsor, DeSoto Auto Sales, online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They're at 5704 Goodman Road. Call them at 662-890-7184. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and the surrounding area. And all the cars thoroughly examined, test-driven, checked out bumper to bumper, head to toe, with an unlimited inventory. Every make, every model. If by chance they don't have that special car that you want, they'll go out and find it for you in a quick amount of time. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. You walk in and you're treated like family by a very kind, courteous staff. Down-home environment, laid-back atmosphere, no high-pressure sales whatsoever. But they care about your time. They want you to enjoy the ultimate car experience. They know we live in a very busy world, hustle and bustle, where time really matters. Like tonight, you want to get off work and get out to the stadium or get home in time to listen and watch the ball game. That's why they guarantee this, the ultimate car experience. Find the car you want, test drive that car, credit approved, paperwork completed, all done in 45 minutes less. You could be there right now, and you could be at Tiger Lane in your new ride in 45 minutes or less. It's a guarantee at DeSoto Auto Sales at 5704 Goodman Road. Go online to DeSotoAutoSales.com and check out the referrals and look at the beautiful cars. Come on down to DeSoto County to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience.
Well, fellas, I'm off to Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium
until we meet again.
Yeah, tomorrow.
I blame the loss totally on you tonight. Get a win.
Okay. All right.
Before we get to break,
okay,
I want to bring up Evan Barnes just tweeted some pregame chit-chatting on the field. Looked like a few of the Memphis receivers who were about to warm up were going back and forth with Tulsa. Joe Skates was fired up, had to be pulled away and escorted to the locker room. Nothing physical, just some talking. Buckle up. It's going to be a wild one.
How about it? A little bit of energy. A little bit of juice tonight. Let's see it. He was a great conversation, too, earlier in the year.
Was one of the best.
Fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and get to a break. These guys will take you the rest of the way right here on Sportstime.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
There are so many ways to buy and sell houses these days. How do you choose? Well, of course, choose the right way with Chet Whitsitt. Chet has over 37 years of experience as both a broker and a sales agent. He's helped lots of people buy and sell homes, and he will help you. It's the right way, and it's that easy. Buying, selling, or referrals, check with Chet at 901-484-5689 and Cry Like Realtors at 901-756-8900. Buying or selling? Check with Chet Whitsitt. Locally owned and operated since 1885, Barton's has always been your hometown building supply store. And now Barton's is your go-to for replacement car remotes and key fobs. Introducing DuraKey. DuraKey replacements and renewal kits can be programmed in-store while you wait. Plus, save up to 60% compared to dealer prices. Visit your West Memphis Barton's at 215 West Broadway today for help with your car remote replacement and all of your home repair and remodel needs.
You don't think about a lawyer until something goes wrong. When that happens, let attorney Stephen Leffler fight for you and your family. You don't leave the house in the morning expecting an accident, but it happens every day. A car wreck, you slip and fall, or you get accused of a crime and find yourself fighting for your reputation. Stephen Leffler has been fighting for you for over 35 years. Don't do it alone. Let Stephen Leffler fight your battles for you. Call Stephen Leffler, 901-527-8830, or go to LefflerLaw.com. Here to fight for you and your loved ones.
Memphis Tiger basketball is back at FedEx Forum. Coach Buddy Hardaway's team looks to return to the NCAA tournament for a second straight season, with preseason All-American Kendrick Davis, DeAndre Williams, and Alex Lomax leading the way. Season tickets start at just $99 with a dynamic season pass where you can experience a different seating location for each game. Don't miss a minute of the action this season. See you at FedEx Forum, and go Tigers go.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Willoshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78 Lamar and the first exit in Mississippi Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal, and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand bottled, taste tested, sent to a few friends, then taste tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com.
Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. Ole Miss Rebel Yell is back. The Rebel Yell Hotline Radio Show is back on WHBQ Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Every Monday night at 6, hear the latest news on your Ole Miss Rebels with Yancey Porter with 24/7 Sports, former Ole Miss defensive tackle Mike Fitzsimmons, Gordon Ford covering SEC Sports Call, and former Ole Miss baseball announcer Gary Darby. From kickoff to free throw to extra innings, your Ole Miss Sports on the Rebel Yell Hotline Show right here Monday night at 6 on Sports 56, 560 AM and 98.5 FM, your Mid-South sports station.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
You drove it, you love it. What more do you need to know?
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
Home stretch on this Thursday afternoon, November 10th. Tomorrow will be Veterans Day, and we will have Fight Song Friday. And at 3 o'clock to start the show, and at 4 o'clock and at 5 o'clock, we will have Army, Navy, and Air Force fight songs.
I love it.
On Veterans Day. And remember, on Veterans Day, never plural, never possessive, just veterans, one word, no apostrophe in there. And tomorrow we will commemorate and celebrate the veterans and have the fight songs of the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force. Bryant Dacus with me, Brett Norsworthy, Gabe Kuhn making his way over to Simmons Bank. Liberty Stadiums, I'm sure a lot of people are right now. Be safe getting over. You got plenty of time, about an hour before kickoff. You got plenty of time to be safe, get parked, and get inside the stadium. If you've been there a while at Tiger Lane enjoying this afternoon, this tailgate, I don't blame you, because you still got to have your fun with college football. I'm sorry we're having the conversations that we're having to have around the Memphis Tigers. I don't think we have done any of it so far. We could slip, I could err. I sure don't want to. I want to be fair. I don't think we've piled on at all, Brian.
No.
Do you think so far inbounds?
I think it's been very inbounds. I think obviously, I give a lot of credit to Gabe because, I mean, this is a guy
Sure.
that's played for
Tough
him.
spot for
It's a
Gabe.
very tough spot.
Really
and
tough.
he has really done a good job, and so have you, about just being very fair. I mean, not super overboard on anything, but also not kind of giving him a benefit of a doubt. Just, hey, here's what the facts are, here's what's happened, and here's what we think.
If anything, I think I have erred on the side of boosterism. When I picked that 9-3, I really believe that.
Sure.
I think you could make a case that I still maybe could have been right with those picks, but never mind that. I haven't been. The record's what it is, and they're not getting to 9-3. We know that may not get to 6-6. We talk. I said in that last segment with Gabe, and that was heart to heart. That was tough stuff conversation that we had and we will. And I said that Ryan Silverfield almost hadn't had a real fighting chance with the full bore COVID 2020 that, we're wondering, will anybody make the year? Will anybody really finish? And will you just not get your head torn off financially? If you play, how bad would it be? Then last year was still clumsy and awkward and trying to get back. And then this year, people have kind of they've kind of gave up on him a little bit. The same could be said for Laird Veach's tenure as athletics director. Bryant, he got hired. I had you look it up. I knew it was in October. It was October 1, 2019. Okay, well, he gets here, and everybody has a honeymoon when they get there. When you start meeting everybody, hi, I'm the new AD, and they're showing you around town, and the season's going marvelously for him that year. And then the first weekend in November that year, I think that the playing date was Saturday, November 2nd, game day.
Yeah.
The eyes of the college football world on Memphis, on Beale Street, on the fairgrounds, on Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium with all that played out that day, and then boom, here comes IARP. Here comes NCAA that ultimately led to IARP. And Laird's been in a full battle from that point on with that and with everything coming from COVID. He's almost not had a chance, Bryant.
No, you're right. I mean, and you talk about both of them really coming in at the same time, and it's just been a fact of, hey, boom, 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 boom. It's just blow after blow after blow. And you think after the
body
IARP
blow
thing, exactly. And you think after the IARP situation has kind of been resolved, that now kind of Laird is in that phase where, hey, everything's kind of behind us now, and I can start really taking over as an athletic director.
And we hope he can. We know one thing that will make it easier. It's winning.
That's right.
And whether it's Coach Penny Hardaway or some little run the rest of this year. I just wonder, even with a win tonight, a win next week over North Alabama, and the upset Thanksgiving weekend down at Highland Park over the Ponies, and then to a bowl game. Now, I'm really trying to play the half full here and win the bowl game. Would that turn it around or soften it a little bit? Almost after you start going down this road, you rarely can turn it around.
That's a good point, and I think it's been a lot of different things that have kind of come together in a sense of this season, and just how the noise has kind of amplified over the last couple of weeks. I mean, I think there are things you can point to, like some play calls that haven't been what you kind of think. Obviously, the losing plays a role in that, but also the former players voicing their opinions on social media. We talked about that with Gabe in that last segment. I think that's played a big role in it too.
Really, the first time in Tigers football history that social media will play this big a role.
Yeah.
Because it was around at the end of Larry Porter, but not as predominant as it seems to be right now. It seems to be so loud, and I think it really is that loud. I know we get a little bit of in a insulated bubble of thinking everybody's as interested as things we're in. Well, we're in the sports business.
That's right.
And if you're listening to us, we feel like you like sports, so that's why it feels like we're kind of one trick ponies. But all those guys talk about sports. Well, yeah, it's a sports station, and we're a sports show. Of course, that's what we're going to talk about. Also, this on Saturday, much discussed about the dynasty being over at Alabama, and I said earlier in the week that I feel like there are a couple things that will signal the end of the Saban dynasty. I think some of those shots have been fired, but another one I said is whenever somebody beats them and they don't storm the field / tear down the goalposts. And LSU didn't tear the goalposts down. They just stormed the field. They're not touching those goalposts. That is one of the most sacred, revered things at LSU, along with that eye at midfield. And you'll notice both against Ole Miss and against Alabama, when they do rush the field, the state troopers and stadium security, they protect that eye, and they protect those goalposts, those legendary goalposts at Tiger Stadium. So they're not going to tear them down. But they came down at Neyland, field stormed, all that. If Ole Miss wins Saturday, field storming, goalposts coming down?
See, I think it's kind of a similar thing with Duke basketball. Duke basketball has turned into this dynasty, especially under Coach K, and we'll see if it changes this year. But it kind of became a thing of Duke is the dynasty in college basketball. If you beat them on your home court, you storm the court, no matter what.
You're beating the brotherhood.
Exactly. You're storming the court. And I feel like
you're beating DUKE, whether it's Trajan Langdon wearing the uniform or Marty Clark.
No matter who it is. It could be me wearing the uniform out there.
I don't know. I went Trajan Langdon. Maybe I should go Shane Battier.
There you go. That's a better one. But I think Alabama's kind of in that same sphere of, hey, this is the cream of the crop. This is the dynasty in college football. We're going to storm the field if we beat them. I don't know about...
and you know why? Because the field stormers, the goalpost tear downers, guess who they're not? They're not 60-year-old bred.
No.
They're 18, 19, 20-year-old youngsters that were little kids too little to do it in 2014. Let's say they were at the game with mom and dad, maybe had a big brother or big sister in school. Well, they were, let me get my math. So they were 8 years old, 8 years ago, so an 18-year-old was 10 years old. No, you're too little to go down there and do that. Well, they want their shot at it. They want their shot to be at the top of the goalpost like that kid was that day, hanging with one arm and taking a selfie with his other hand. I'm going, son, be real careful.
You need to grab one with both hands.
But they want to have that college experience. They want to have, when I was a freshman or I was a junior, or whatever it was at Ole Miss, I was part of the field storming after we beat Nick Saban in 2022, and it really started the end to the dynasty. I was only a part of one field storm. It was my freshman year at Fayetteville, October 17th, 1981. Number 1 ranked Texas had just demolished OU the week before. And everybody thinking, the Razorbacks don't have a prayer in this one. Big underdog, and it was easy all day. I mean, like a movie, just played out perfectly. Everything you can think of, including a snap over the punter's head that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar couldn't have caught. And that goes for safety. Arkansas wins 42-11. Everybody runs out on the field. And the rest of my life, 41 years later, my freshman year at Fayetteville, a part of that. Youngsters will be talking about that at Neyland Stadium a few weeks ago.
Absolutely.
And at LSU last weekend. So if Ole Miss wins, heck yeah, they should.
I don't know. Maybe I draw the line before field goal. But I'm all for storming the field.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all. You don't want to start doing it. There was one year, it was early in the Lou Holtz years at South Carolina. Man, they were tearing goalposts down after they'd beat the Citadel. Now, come on, now,
that's a little too much.
I mean, there's some you got to act like you've been there and you've done it before.
Well, this is Bama.
But also now the very heavy fine that you do get, and it comes out of your end of the year share. When they cut that big check, in May and June, they take it out then, and it's real. And the public safety aspect of it. I jokingly say about the kid on the top of the goalpost. I mean, precariously dangling with one arm.
That's insane.
If it just slips, sweat.
Sweaty palms, yeah.
I mean, just anything. I mean, you have a nightmare. I had a friend of mine that year. His daughter was a freshman that year. She may have weighed 120. So when she jumps out of the south end zone to go on the field, snaps her tibia.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the emergency room had injuries all night that year. So there is that public safety side of it. I'm not encouraging anybody to do it, but I understand why people did it. Now, the only injury I had on October 17th, 1981 was embarrassment. It was not a physical injury. So there's a chain link field fence around Reynolds Razorback Stadium, around Razorback Stadium, around the field there, and to go over it, I had to go over that chain link. Well, right at the apex of going over the chain link field in a very dangerous location, I might add, I snagged trousers right at the that area and ripped the entire pant leg off. I had one pant leg, and the other was just shredded right off like tissue paper. And that was hard to explain when I walked back to where I lived, and I had one exposed pant leg and boxers hanging out the bottom end of it.
I can only imagine.
But also very, very nearly close to the emergency room in an area you wouldn't want to be in.
Yeah, that's you get a little risky when you do that.
So be really careful out there if you decide to storm the field on Saturday. I know FanDuel will love that as the run-up. When you send them this and they hear that last 30 seconds, they'll just love that. Brett Norsworthy here for FanDuel. Start NFL Week 10 off the right way with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or if you already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay does not hit. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to start the weekend and to combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payday tonight. P.J. Walker over the passing yards. Kyle Pitts over receiving yards. Anytime touchdown from that great receiver, DJ Moore. Build your own or choose from one of the popular SGPs pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. However you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night in just a few hours with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Sign up with promo code SPORTS56 if you don't already have an account. If you already have a FanDuel account, you're set. Sign in to see what you've got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. 3+ legs, minimum dollar bet required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable free bets. They expire 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789. When we come back, we wrap up this Thursday afternoon with Taco Bell Crunch Time. You're listening to Sports Time.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Acura of Memphis invites you to experience the all-new, completely redesigned 2022 Acura MDX. It's the most advanced SUV Acura has ever built. Experience the convenience of full connectivity, including built-in Alexa, Wi-Fi hotspot, and wireless charging, from the stunning interior, complete with third-row seating. Stop by our state-of-the-art facility and take advantage of our aggressive APR offers today at Ridgeway and 385. Or shop online from the convenience of home now. Visit AcuraofMemphis.com. For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the Little Red Tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. Well, Mid-South Ag can show you they aren't just for farms anymore. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, they can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and towing and then some. Stop by Mid-South Ag Equipment or call 662-890-3141 to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you.
Hey sports fans, this is former pro basketball referee Tim Donaghy. You've seen my feature film Inside Game and just released on Netflix Operation Flagrant Foul. This season, I'm red hot in the hoops against the spread. Tonight confirmed, Portland, New Orleans is huge. Free on the recorded message line. Call 1-800-638-3411. That's 1-800-638-3411. Plus Philly, Atlanta, Charlotte, Miami, and Thursday Night Football free on the recorded message. Call 1-800-638-3411. No hype, just me, Tim Donaghy. I love to go 6-0. Portland, New Orleans is a monster. Call 1-800-638-3411. It starts right now, free on the recorded message line. Call me, Tim Donaghy, 800-638-3411. I love to sweep the board or the season's free. Call 1-800-638-3411. and go to VegasScoresandOdds.com.
Sponsored by JFSR Group.
It's gotten colder outside, and the folks at Family Leisure want you to relax at home in your new massage chair or catch a game in your new home theater set. The Relax at Home sale is going on right now at Family Leisure with great deals on pool tables or shuffleboards, or enjoy a game with all your friends and your family. Also on sale now, saunas, hot tubs, patio furniture. It's the Relax at Home sale. Come by Family Leisure, I-40 and Whidden Road. That's where you'll relax at home. I often say they've set the bar for the way car business should be done at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You know how close that is. It's right there at Highway 78, Lamar Avenue, and Craft Road, the very first exit in Mississippi. I say it because they always come up with new innovations. And right now, when we've had all these shortages on new cars, Homer Skelton Hyundai is always going to come through for you. You won't pay more than the sticker price for a new car at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's Chris True's pledge. You'll never pay more than sticker price. Those other guys, they could charge you a whole lot more for that new car because they know there's a shortage. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. That's part of the philosophy and the team that's been together for about 15 years now. You want the best of service? You want the best of products? It's the combination and the trust you'll always get from the best guys around. Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch.
Hi, I'm news correspondent Bob Woodruff. In 2006, a roadside bomb struck the armored vehicle I was riding in while reporting from Iraq. I sustained a life-threatening traumatic brain injury. The military term "got your six" means I have your back. And that day, our service members had mine. During my recovery, I learned firsthand the challenges facing our service members who return home with injuries. While serving, their fellow service members always had their six. Now that they're home, it is our turn. We started the Bob Woodruff Foundation to make sure that the camaraderie and support they relied on in the military carries on. And we need you. Please join us as part of the Got Your Six initiative and help us be there for impacted veteran service members and their families. They've had our backs. It's time we have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org. That's gotyoursix.org, using the number 6.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales.
I couldn't believe it either, but that thing runs like new.
Here once again are Gabe Kuhn and Brett Norsworthy.
My nail tech knows how to keep it a little secret. I don't wish for my success, I speak it. I caught a buzz and you did too.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy!
This is Geraldo. It is crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
The double steak grilled cheese burrito, so good. Double the steak with nacho cheese sauce, seasoned rice, red strips, sour cream, and the 3-cheese blend wrapped inside a warm flour tortilla, with even more 3-cheese blend grilled on the top. The double steak grilled cheese burrito, it hits the spot now at Taco Bell. And at Taco Bell, when they say they are feeding people's lives with unexpected good, they mean it. Bowl food you can't get anywhere else.
Brett, I actually just learned this over the break just a second ago. Katie Wu, who covers the Cardinals for the Athletic, she just tweeted that the Miami Marlins coaching staff is turning into somewhat of a St. Louis Cardinals reunion. She tweeted, former St. Louis Cardinals outfielder John Jay is joining Skip Schumacher's coaching staff as the team's first base and outfield coach. Jay is a Miami native and won a World Series title with Schumacher on the Cardinals in 2011.
What he did. He would not accept that Colby Rasmus, the phenom that he was going to be, was just going to be the starting center fielder. John Jay went to work and good old-fashioned proved to everybody, I may have not been the bonus baby darling, but I'm better than Colby Rasmus. And he was. I'll be pulling for the Marlins some.
Oh, yeah.
I like the group. Remember, I told Skip Schumacher he'd be a manager.
Now, did you ever tell John Jay he was going to be a manager?
I've claimed that for so many people. I think I need to that being my go-to play.
Yeah,
I never told David Freese that, though. I don't think I told Georgia, but I did tell Eddie Perez that, and I did tell Skip Schumacher that, and I told Stubby Clapp that. Well, when you tell enough people, enough of them will get a job.
Yeah, it happened to somebody.
What I learned Saturday will be the first time Ole Miss will be playing Alabama with the Mighty Tide coming off a loss since 2002. 20 years. Bama lost to Georgia that year. I was at that game at Bryant-Denny, and that's when some people thought Dennis Franchione might be getting it worked out at Bama. Others didn't. I was in the part that didn't. Also, this will be the latest Ole Miss and Alabama will play in a regular season. They played in a Sugar Bowl one time, but in a regular season since 11/25/1915.
Woo.
They played on 11/11 Veterans Day in 1944 in Mobile, but Saturday being the 12th will eclipse that. So the latest to play since 11/25/1915. And before you even asked, no, I wasn't at the 1915 game.
I was wondering, just a little too young for that one. Brett, what I could have done without, I talked about this with my brother last night. We had a long conversation about this, and you actually kind of brought it up yesterday because you asked me during a break, Bryant, where are all the college basketball games? And I'm kind of weird, so I like the small schools versus small schools. But I saw this on Jeff Goodman's Twitter. Today, he posted, excuse me, there are 26 college hoops games today. I'm sorry, this was yesterday. There are 26 college hoops games today. In 14 of them, a D1 will face a non-Division I team. Today, there are 64 college basketball games played tonight. 32 of them are against non-Division I schools, which is ridiculous. Another thing that we found out, me and my brother found out yesterday, which we kind of felt weird about, James Madison beat Valley Forge in their first game of the season, 123-38. Valley Forge is a Division III school. Right now, if you go on James Madison's website, they are 2-0 in the record column with a win over Valley Forge and a win over Hampton. Bryant did the same thing where they beat a Division III school and they claimed it as a regular season win. I'm sorry, but you cannot claim those games as wins. And if you go to Valley Forge's website, the team that James Madison beat, guess what they're doing? They're claiming it as an exhibition. No. We can't have one team claim it as an exhibition, one team as a real game. It's either an exhibition or it's a real game. And I think after we get into regular season college basketball, every Division I team should be playing another Division I team.
I agree. 100% I agree. And if we're going to start this early, well, let's really start.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we kind of just teased everybody Monday, and then the curtain fell, and we're really kind of relaunching the season. It doesn't have a uniform opening day like college football, and that's why I liked those years we tried that 24 hours of basketball.
Oh, I
didn't mind that at all.
Loved it. My childhood, honestly.
Did you go to that 11 o'clock Tiger UMass game?
I did not.
I did not either.
That. I was not allowed to go to that game. I had school the next day.
I had school the next day. It was right here at WHBQ. It was too late for me. I could have done without the Rose Bowl. Still trying to find a way to fit in the new college football playoff. I love the Rose Bowl. It's great. The stadium, the history of it. We know all that. But it's been holding up a college football playoff for a long time. The SEC gets the blame. It's not the SEC's fault. We can blame the SEC for a lot. Trust me. We really can. But it's not been their fault. They want that sunset on New Year's Day, and they're going to have to move off that if they're going to be a part of it.
I completely agree. What I'm going to be watching tonight, obviously, Memphis football against Tulsa tonight.
Coming
Need
up.
a win.
35
Very
minutes.
important game for the Tigers tonight. You don't want to go to Dallas looking to try to get bowl eligible the last week of the season. Also, some basketball tonight. Trailblazers, Pelicans to end the night on NBA TV. We got 76ers and Hawks. And then, obviously, I just talked about it, a lot of college basketball, but nothing really that gets you excited.
Yeah, it's unavoidable, the conversations around Tiger football. And as I said earlier, even with a win, even with a resounding win, maybe the best 4 quarters of football of the year tonight, it will be, but tomorrow, and it's going to be that way for a while. The game of the night in college basketball, I think, is Southern Illinois against Oklahoma State. 4 NBA games tonight, Dallas and D.C. against the Wizards, Philly at Atlanta, Charlotte at Miami, and Portland and the Pels in New Orleans. We want to thank Michael Katz for joining us to talk Ole Miss and Alabama. Keith Smith always with us to talk the NBA. Same for Bill Bender every Thursday during college football to talk college football. Tomorrow, shorter show. We're out at 5:30, but we will have Alan Bell and Bruce Marshall breaking down the Vegas odds. Ty Richardson to talk the SEC and the Razorbacks. Friday football forecast. Jason Munns to talk Tigers basketball, and we'll get out at 5:30 tomorrow for Ole Miss and FAU. For Gabe Kuhn, for Bryant Dacus, I'm Brett Norsworthy. Everyone be safe. Enjoy the Tiger game tonight, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
I'm Brian Elder. Depending on how long you've been around, you've likely known my name for 30 years. Perhaps for my 20 years as the morning show on Kix 106 as the Young and Elder Show, or my 15 years at Brian Elder Roofing. So obviously, my reputation means everything to me. One terrible customer experience could tarnish a third of a century of goodwill. My reputation for quality and strong relationships is our main focus. We're the highest certification, a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning. If you have a business or a commercial building, we're the highest certification for warranties with GAF and Mulehide products. We don't come at you in sales mode.